Welcome to the Lost Lowdown Podcast 130 with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
We are back, continuing our Season 2 commentary series with episodes 223 and 224, Live Together, Die Alone.
Woo!
And this is a very special podcast because Justin and I are in the same room recording, which is almost unheard of. So the audio should be crystal clear and not telephone crappy. We're here in Berkeley, California, and it's a nice day. I was going to say balmy Berkeley, but it's pretty nice right now, so nice and sunny.
Comfortable.
Yes, a perfect day for podcasting, some might say.
Yeah, exactly.
So
stay inside.
Stay inside and talk to yourselves.
That's what you do on a nice day.
Yeah, why not?
Everyone listening to this knows that.
Exactly. Don't go outside and enjoy the weather.
Not at all.
So this is pretty interesting. So we're just coming off of 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Michael setting them all up for disaster.
Clearly.
And now we have the explosive, or should I say, implosive? Season 2 finale.
I think, oh my god, that sounds like something David Nicholson would say. I'd say the finale will be implosive. It's like, what does it mean?
What does it mean? And you find out, and it's not that big a deal.
And you find out, and they're like, what?
There's an implosion. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So, I'm trying to think.
I just noticed when we were watching like a few minutes of the previous episode, 3 minutes, that like at the beginning when Michael's holding the list with the names on it, you can read through the paper. If you're actually looking closely, you see Jack Shepherd, Kate Austin, you know what he's looking at.
Oh, wow.
So
how do we never catch that?
Yeah, I never noticed it before, but just now I was like, oh, I can totally read that.
The quality of Blu-ray?
Yeah, it must be the Blu-ray.
The Blu-ray difference.
Buy a Blu-ray player today if you haven't already.
Yeah, no, it's the way to watch it.
It's definitely the next generation in home media.
That's what they call it, Blu-ray. So this is obviously a pretty great episode. Parts 1 and Part 2. There's a lot going on here. I haven't seen this in forever, so I'm looking forward to some of the parts I don't remember.
Yeah, me too. I'm also looking forward to some of the parts I do remember. But
the parts I do remember I don't care about.
I think, okay. I remember some interesting things from this episode. This is definitely from like what I would consider maybe the early golden age or something of the show. I mean, this is when like
before Season 3.
Yeah. Season 3 definitely, like, broke a lot of dreams. I mean, it's weird because Season 2 is also, like, full of letdowns, but, there was still somehow hope that Season 3 was able to crush a little more thoroughly, I think. But the other thing is that, they admitted that they were kind of spinning their wheels before they had the end date. And this, this is before then. And the early part of Season 3, that's what they blame it on. Like, they didn't feel comfortable progressing the story without knowing, like, how long they had to continue. So
they just kept a couple of their characters in cages for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally trapping the storylines.
Yeah. Yeah. So it couldn't progress more than that. And then once, they have that date, then we have Naomi shows up and the
plot gets going.
Yeah. There's actually a progression. And it's strange how you can see that, like, within the show itself. You can kind of feel it. But there's some interesting things in Season 3. But I think this episode is definitely, for me, it was one of the more exciting finales. Because Season 3 was coming off, like, a really frustrating, disappointing season. And I think this one had some problems, but there was a huge build up to it, and with the return of the boat, and we're shortly going to learn that it was Desmond. Spoiler alert. And the whole idea of learning like stuff about the history of the island, at this point we don't know anything.
And it is important to, when we first get the sense of, because when you're thinking about the characters trying to get off the island, you think about the possibilities of how they could do that. Boat is one of them.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, okay, well, if they can only get a boat, maybe they can get off. And then this, of course, tells us it's way more complicated than that.
Yeah. They don't want to leave that avenue open. They don't want to say, well, if they could just find a boat, then everything would be fine. It's like, the show can't be that simple.
Yeah.
You know, there has to be this whole thing, like, yeah, if they know the exact bearing and whatever, you know.
Yada, 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 time barrier.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think, yeah, it was a good turning point for that. At this point, like, getting off the island seems really far away. Even though, we have a possibility, but they take away the hope, like, really quickly.
Yeah.
And if you see the boat and you're thinking for any second, like, they're just gonna hop on there and leave.
Well, as soon as you see Desmond, you go, oh.
Yeah. It's like, oh, the guy that left, like, 20 episodes ago?
Yeah, is still here? That's not a good sign.
Yeah, I don't think it worked out.
You know, speaking of the time barrier and not being able to leave the island, I was just popped in my head about Across the Sea and Mother and the whole beginning of that idea that Man in Black can't leave, and it made me question. I was just thinking, like, if any of that time barrier stuff should factor into what she's talking about. Like, she says you can't leave, like, physically, like, if you try, you won't be able to get out of here. And you'll just die trying, right? Because they don't have modern ships, so he'd have to be on some sort of raft or... Well, they have ships of their time, which I guess are fine, but, you know, even if he had a ship, he couldn't necessarily leave, and he might just end up dying out there. So maybe that's part of why she's saying he can't leave. But then, of course, that turns into, like we talked about many times, that morphs into whatever reason he can't leave after he becomes Man in Black proper. You know, but I wonder how much the time barrier and the physics of the island factors into what she's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. It's not clear when that barrier was created. I mean, presumably, I guess based on what they told us about it, like, it should have been there the whole time.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I mean, I don't think Dharma made it, for example.
Yeah.
So, but there is a bearing. Like, if they somehow knew...
Yeah.
If Mother knew the coordinates or whatever, the compass marking degree thing, then maybe he could leave. But, you know, he was going to make the wheel, and I feel like I don't...
Oh, yeah, he was going to turn that and leave.
Yeah, and we know that works.
Yeah.
At least it works for other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's really no reason why it wouldn't have worked for him unless those rules really are physical, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it just, yeah... It sort of reminds me of, you know, the movie, The Exterminating Angel, where they can't leave the room. They suddenly can't leave the room, but it's like no one really tries. And so there's a fine line between whether they're willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that they aren't trying.
It's like the collective unwill to try is somehow creating the power that no one can do it. Yet no one actually tries, so no one knows if they can do it or not, which is the whole point.
Yeah.
So this is a Buñuel film, if anyone's unfamiliar with it. It's a very cool movie about a group of high-end dinner party guests, and it's sort of a social commentary where they're no one wants to be the first one to leave this party, so no one actually is able to physically leave the room because of the sort of social implications of that, like that idea of becoming a physical barrier. But yeah, then of course it's like, okay, well, what if somebody pushes another person out of the room? And realistically, within the context of that story, like, it should be fine. Like, you know, they should be able to leave.
But it gets really crazy. I mean, like, they're stuck in that room, seemingly, and, like, they are there for a long time. There's, like, people gathered outside, like, why can't they leave? And they have to, like, fight for their survival. They have to, like, there's, like, animals wandering around the house, and they have to try to, like, lure one into the room, because they can't leave the room. And, like, it gets crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
Where it's like, they're trying to survive there. They're assuming that they can't leave. That's why it reminds me of the Man in Black thing. Like, they're just working under that assumption that it's impossible for them to do it.
Yeah.
But they never show you a force field. I mean, they never tell you, like, really if they, you know, try to go across the doorway, something actually will stop them.
Yeah.
Like, that's totally not clear. Yeah, like if someone just pushed you.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I guess the film wouldn't make its point if there was something physical that you see.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, totally.
The same point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like they were somewhat getting at a similar idea, but it's kind of weird that it's such an abstract idea of, like, rules and what does it mean to have rules, and are the rules a real thing, or
Mm-hmm.
do we just create them in our own minds, and
And,
that
you
makes
know,
them real?
And they could have brought that idea back, saying, oh, well, they said we couldn't leave the island. We were able to leave. We were able to come back. Like, coming back to that idea about the rules, they could have made a comment on the nature of the rules and the nature of these ideas that, like, you can't do a certain thing, yet nobody tries because they're told they can't already do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, it also makes me wonder about, like, the other rule, which is they can't kill each other,
Mm-hmm.
which is also, like, a big driving force in the plot. Because without that rule, you wouldn't have to have something like the loophole, for example.
Yeah.
And, he is able to kill the mother, who was also the protector. But she didn't have a rule against herself being killed. At least she didn't say there was one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that's called into question also. And I wonder, I wish the show had been clearer about when he throws him into the cave, if the reason he turns into the smoke monster is related to the rules, the fact that Jacob couldn't kill him, but there was no other way for him not to die. Like, if he gets thrown in there, he really should be dead. But
Well, he did die, right? You see his body. You see the smoke monster leave, and then his body is there. So it kind of tells you he did die.
But he carries on in some form, and I can't tell if that's supposed to be due to the rules, or if it's just a matter of whoever you threw in there,
Mhm.
that's what would happen.
Yeah.
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 Like, it seems
Well,
completely...
because doesn't she say, I've made it to where you can't hurt each other? And I think that comes after, like, or before, like, he beats him up. Which is kind of like, well, you said you're going to hurt
He
each
beats him
other.
up multiple times. I mean, like, yeah. I feel like that's...
And then it becomes, you can't kill each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And in the episode, they don't really make the distinction clear. Like, we see Jacob, like, punching.
Mhm.
When they're kids, he does it. He gets bloody.
Yeah.
When he catches him with Mother, he does it again.
Yeah.
After he killed him. And then he throws him into the thing. He's clearly injured,
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like it can't mean that. But the Man in Black says to him in that scene, you can't kill me. She
Mhm.
made it that way. That's how he interprets what she said, even though we know what she said is you can't hurt each other.
And you can even go further with that and say, well, maybe Man in Black turned himself into a smoke monster because he went down there with that idea. I can't be killed
But
by
he can't
Jacob.
die.
I can't be killed by Jacob, and then that gives him
Right.
this power to turn into this incarnation.
Like, I want to know if we're supposed to think that or not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really sure how far we're supposed to go with that line of thinking about the rules and their own psychology.
Well, and the fact that, I don't know. The fact that Mother told Jacob what's down there, but Man in Black didn't know what was down there.
Yeah.
In terms of it being, because when they're kids, she mentions a little bit.
Yeah.
But when she shows Jacob when she's passing the torch on, I think she elaborates and she says it's light and dark. It's it's
Mhm.
everything down there. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, once we get to Across the Sea, we'll see if we can figure out the rules.
I feel like it's kind of almost like a comic book origin story for Man in Black, and usually in those stories, it's clearer how their own character traits lead to their transformation,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a connection there, and it seems like there could be one, but I don't really know. I don't know if it's just a matter of it was out of this family tragedy, or if there's also this thing about the rules, like either they're real or his thinking them made them real or whatever,
Well, and it's look at Mother saying you can't leave, and then Man in Black building the donkey wheel, and it's kind of like, well, that seemed like it wasn't true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really make sense that it wouldn't work, but he never tried
And
it.
she destroys it knowing it could work,
Mhm.
or knowing something would be bad if he tried it at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Live Together, Die Alone. It's interesting because we know now that the show's over that they did live together. Some of them did die alone, but they all end up together in afterlife.
Whether they died alone or not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they got the chance to reunite, which is nice. No, it's, it's classic Lost speech, Jack's thing when he comes back in season 1 and
Mm-hmm.
tells him this thing, and it's kind of an early indication of that thing that they really started doing very heavily towards the end, but even throughout, of like calling back to themselves,
Mm-hmm. looping
looping back to previous, like making references to previous things that the characters had gone through, and they construct this whole sort of
web.
yeah, big, tapestry, if you will, of details and stuff that build on each other.
Not unlike Jacob's tapestry.
Not unlike Jacob's tapestry at all.
Coincidence?
Probably not. Yeah, no, that was obviously supposed to be symbolic, but I feel like Jacob's tapestry should have been a lot messier.
Ha!
He didn't really have master plans. He just kind of did the best he could.
He's putting all his time on his tapestries.
It's true. It's true. It takes a long time.
All right. Anything else before we get into the episode?
No, I think that's good. Let's
All right.
let's do it.
All right, everybody. Well, if you're gonna watch this with us, sync up. Get your players ready. We'll do the countdown. Let's see here. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Previously on Lost, do you ever think that maybe they put you down here to push a button every 100 minutes just to see if you would? Every single day.
Your tour of duty in Peru will last 3 weeks.
Okay, so starting with Desmond.
Yeah, showing Desmond, I feel like it's kind of a giveaway that he's coming back.
Yeah.
Second of my pathetic little life is as useless as that Bible.
Oh. He wishes he had some dishes to throw.
Yuck.
Writing 4 names down.
That wall was his dishes.
If you don't bring all the people onto this, you'll never see Walter.
Oh, the fetch.
What? Dad! I love you too!
They're not what they pretend to be.
Yeah.
She gets 2 shots.
Why would he lie to us? 'Cause I believe he's
Love Saeed realizing this conspiracy. This is so good.
It's great.
the way I said that.
It's one of the things you like about Saeed.
Yeah, and it helps the audience because you don't like when the characters are being tricked.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go like too long before they figure it out.
Exactly.
So it's nice that somebody at least
Yeah.
understands what's going on.
So they go into this whole thing knowing who's betrayed them, but
Yeah.
or at least suspecting it strongly. But even still, it manages to work.
Yeah. All right, so this is the episode where they get rescued.
It's so weird to see all those red shirts.
Yeah. How many people does it take to swim out to a boat?
Jack didn't take his shirt off.
Because he didn't have sleeves, so it didn't matter.
Good point.
Wow, did Sawyer, is he really swimming with his gun in his back
Probably.
of his pants? Wow, that looks like it's gonna fall out.
Maybe it's a trap. What do you mean a trap?
Thanks, Charlie.
What's a trap? Never heard that word before.
Check the little roll. Oh, this is why you need guns.
Yeah.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
gonna need your gun.
Yeah, they don't know what to expect from this.
Wow, Jack kicked that in with his bare foot.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah. Wow. Me? You?
What do you mean, me?
Alright.
Yeah. Yeah. You can conclude a lot about what's going on with him just from that short scene, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't really say anything.
He's just gonna keep drinking for a while.
Now we'll
I
have
remember
some
this is the era of
exposition.
him drinking.
He drank a lot in those days.
So, when you ran off, I guess you just forgot to mention that you still have a sailboat. Why'd you come back? You did that on purpose. I was sailing for 2.5 weeks. There in due west. I'm making 9 knots. I should have been in Fiji in less than a week.
This actually doesn't make any sense.
What doesn't make sense?
His story.
No, it was here. This
Because, like,
What part?
island.
2.5 weeks and he hadn't reached the barrier yet?
Because this is it. This. This.
Because he shouldn't have been able to get outside of the barrier, so he's almost
Yeah.
saying the barrier is 2.5 weeks wide of sailing.
I was assuming he just...
There's no outside wall.
No, but he was on a continuing bearing, right?
Right. But maybe the compass didn't work? No, you're right. It doesn't make sense. He's been gone too long.
Unless West is like, he just kept thinking he was going west, but he was going around. But I mean, he should be able to get far away from the island to know what direction he's going, right?
You would think so.
Yeah, we're still.
Yeah, I feel like they hadn't figured out the time barrier, and they didn't know the range of
Yeah.
the time barrier.
Yeah. It's
And
the
if
first
he
we've
went
ever
on,
heard.
yeah, and if he went on the wrong bearing, he should have like been crazy. And even though he's kind of special, but
Yeah, but I don't even know if he's special yet.
is he always special?
I think maybe he turned special.
Oh,
well,
after the
Yeah. There's a fine line there, I guess. Like, his ability to turn special may have been his specialness, but, you know.
Why don't you bring that inside?
Yeah, like this thing, this our mutual friend, like they bring this back a lot later on.
Yeah. Well, this was a great little thing for
It's
his
a great
character.
moment, yeah.
Like, I'm a little bit of a masochist, so I'm just gonna wait to finish this complete, this complete thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
Lance Corporal Desmond David Hume, your sentence is hereby complete, and you are now and forever dishonored.
They never quite explained why he's in jail.
Nope.
Well, I kept thinking that episode would come, but like they show him being like slightly truant, but they never really tell us something that like is getting him here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh right.
You want to ride?
Wow. Wow.
Not with you. Get in the car.
Is this our first time seeing Widmore?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the first appearance of Widmore ever. We've seen the name,
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't seen him.
Present? Actually, 2 presents. One of these boxes contains your past you. The other, your future. Go ahead, open it.
Wow. He wrote
Yeah.
her a lot. He was gone a while.
Yeah. I know, that's why I feel like they owed us an explanation for what he did. Like, it's weird.
It's good for her. Good because as far as she's concerned, you've forsaken her. And that's the way it's going
Forsaken.
to stay, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Penelope's moved on, Drew. She's getting married.
One interesting bit of trivia is that
This
Widmore never has scenes with Penny.
the way
Like,
to my
ever.
daughter.
Interesting.
It sort of makes sense, but it is kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
No contact. No call.
Because their relationship drives a lot of stuff that happens, but we never see them interact.
Run away, Desmond. What makes you think I would just run away? Because you're a coward.
Oh.
Which seems to suggest something while he was in prison.
Yeah.
Almost like he was, he was a deserter or something.
Yeah.
Compromised by the others. And then you ask me how we might take advantage of that.
Nice little
Fate
recap.
has given us our answer. The boat.
Oh my god.
Right.
Well, we know what we're going to see when they sail that boat. Wow.
Yep.
Wow, I forgot about that.
What might be easier by land, I can approach far more quickly by sea. And I can go ashore on the neck. Go ashore. Why? Scout the numbers, positions, their weapons. Then I'll go to the nearest beach and start a signal fire at these. Burn with a dark black smoke. You and your team will come to meet me at the signal. We're going together. I'm sure Michael's been turned by the aspect. Well, that's okay. Can't hurry a story of what we're doing. No. Michael cannot.
Yeah, you can't tell Hurley. Come on.
Yeah.
All we have is the element of surprise, Jack. Right now, it's only your responsibility to keep the secret. That's no matter. This time, they know that we are coming.
But did they even light it last time? It's not clear.
Where are we? I've been thinking about one. That in a minute, the computer's gonna start beeping. And when it does, you're gonna let it go. You're gonna run down to zero, past zero. You're not gonna push the button. But I am going to push the button. Why would you? Because you don't want to be a slave. I'm a slave to them. You're a slave to that. Just like I was. So let me tell you again. Don't push it. Do not tell me what I can.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Locks me down.
Push that button.
No, it's not real. We're only puppets. Puppets on strings. As long as we push it, we'll never be free.
Luxie's so sad in this scene.
It's a bit tough, yeah. He's a little weaker.
He seems like really helpless.
He gets locked out.
He's like, and stay out.
Mm-hmm.
Puppets on strings.
I guess they skipped the scene where they all swim back from the boat with Desmond.
Yeah.
I guess they can't bring it in any closer because of the rocks or something?
Yeah. That must be it.
What's the matter?
That stuff we found in the medical station.
Oh, you're gonna bring that up now.
Costumes, makeup, fake beards. What if these people just want us to think they're hillbillies?
Listen, I was there. I saw that they are hillbillies. They live in huts, they eat fish. They're probably more scared than we are.
I assure you, they are hillbillies.
All right. Jibber jabber. Let's roll.
Fearsome fivesome.
Look out, world. They're coming for you.
Lost.
Wow.
Alright, we got the name of the boat, Elizabeth.
Yeah. That's gonna maybe be answered later.
Oh, they have one of these.
Uh,
Wait, what? So Desmond was on the beach last night, then he went back out to the boat, now he's coming back to the beach.
Get to the north shore of the island.
yeah, it kind of looks that way.
I'll See the hostiles?
Oh, you want to go get more alcohol or something?
You know what? Ignorance is bliss.
Or maybe he went to go get that raft so Saeed can use it now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, maybe, okay, so maybe he went back. He wanted to get all this alcohol, so he had to bring it back on the raft.
I suggest you find someone who does.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I've just arrived and so I don't know where everybody else I see.
What? This is a woman in the wig.
Oh my god, is she a spy? She knew Desmond the whole
She's
time.
undercover.
Depends on what it's for.
She was tracking him down.
Her hair gets crazy sometimes.
Yeah, this is her flashback hair.
Yeah.
The 8 months to get to
Like, I guess he's wearing a wig, too.
Yeah, he is.
I'll tell you what, miss. I'm ready, wait.
And what do you get if you don't?
Yeah, she looks crazy.
Yeah.
She looks a lot like Goldie Hawn.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Charles Whitmore.
Charles Whitmore.
Tried to buy me off. And when I didn't take his money, he took away the only thing in the world that I never truly cared about.
That book I was saving.
Shannon.
I was unsuitable on several levels.
And what's a 42 grand for?
So we become complicated.
42.
So yeah, I don't actually have a boat.
Did you say boat?
Sorry, did I say something wrong?
Boat.
I have a boat. It was my husband's. But he got sick. He wanted to sail to the Mediterranean. He passed away about a month ago.
Wait, sickness?
I remember. I mean, at this time, the interest in Libby's backstory is much higher because we're
Yeah.
coming off Dave and stuff, and like having this. I remember we actually we read like a short version of this scene in advance of the episode, and it seemed insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my god, Desmond met Libby in a coffee shop? What?
Yeah.
You know, but it's really not that crazy. It's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they tell us nothing about Libby here, really, in terms of like her being in the institution.
Yeah.
They could have.
Everything he was supposed to.
I was there. He named it after me.
Yeah, so Hurley never found that out, right? That this is Libby's boat.
No, I don't think he ever realized it. That's one of the many conversations they should have had in the afterlife. Like, because she's there in the church at the end, and Desmond could have been like, hey, it was her who gave me the boat. That's who the boat was named after.
Mhm.
Hurley could be like, what?
Well, Desmond never sees Libby, right?
No,
Mm.
she's dead by the time he gets back.
Yeah.
Would you excuse us, please?
And they've already done the burials.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah, imagine how mind-blown he would be
Mhm.
to find out that Libby actually got to this island, too.
not just Jack.
Yeah.
I could have told you this.
이제 당신을 두고 갈 수 없어.
I'll never leave you. Ever.
나도 같이 갈 거야.
Oh my god. Oh my god, the babies.
Yep, the baby
I
traps.
forgot about the
Yeah,
babies.
Christel's got them all over the island.
Oh, trapped in a net.
How would you know that?
Trip 20, Jack. We ended up.
Having sex? Oh.
What?
The doc told me y'all got caught in a net. I thought he meant something else.
And since when did you and Jack start talking about me?
That's one of the rare times somebody brings something up from the past and they
Yeah.
resolve the
Yeah.
the confusion.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Why is this gun empty?
Well,
Okay, yeah. I like that he was gonna shoot it.
Dad, did you say my name?
No.
I did. Right before the crowd go.
Jack's like trying to ignore him.
yeah, he's like,
Guess I forgot the lookout.
whoops.
Your neck?
You know, I had a lot on my mind.
Yeah.
You're not suspicious, are you?
Charlie, what are you doing in this
Charlie's
episode?
like, I need a plot. Can someone let me
Yeah.
in?
Oh, Locke.
Oh
is
my
he
God,
crying?
He is. He's leaning on a train crying.
Why is he crying?
Oh my god, that's so sad. Wow, come on.
What happened to your
What happened
face?
to your face?
Who did that to you? He's like, I fell down some stairs.
Yourself. You may want to have a drink with your mate from the hatch. I hear he's a little despondent as well.
What?
Oh, that's right. You weren't there for me. The romantic arrival of the funeral. I think he's pushed your luck too many times if he hasn't.
Desmond?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sure you two have a lot to talk about.
That was a really asshole scene for Charlie.
Yeah, I feel like Charlie, I mean, it's coming off of like Locke punching him in the face.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be antagonistic towards him, but it does seem like a little too much.
Yeah. Especially when Locke is crying.
Yeah, exactly.
I also
What's wrong with your face?
You need someone to translate. And you need at least 2 people who know how to sail.
Desmond managed by himself.
And look, we're here.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's a great retort because he didn't manage to do anything. I like
Oh,
it's
Jen.
kind of either he
Yeah.
shrugged because it's like, hey, it's my wife,
Yeah.
or it's like I don't speak English. So
It could totally be either way.
Wasting your time, sister. I shot myself with that stuff every 9 days for 3 years.
And?
yeah, this is huge.
And?
He's lovely.
No more comment about that? Alright.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, now.
he could have ended that saying, you know, and I'm alive because of it.
Yeah. How do you know?
Walked off the moment he got a bit scared by the situation.
Maybe he knew he'd be a lousy dad. All he was doing was best for you.
He was doing what was best for him.
Yeah, there's a deleted scene where like the others convince the husband to leave, blackmail him into leaving, so that like
yeah.
only Claire raises the baby or whatever
Totally.
nonsense they want at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have showed that scene with Jacob's visits.
Yeah.
Where he goes to him and he's like, you have to leave.
How many people are gonna be at this place?
Well, there's Jack and... No, there's this too.
Penelope.
Another good callback, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This bit here. We know what's coming after that. It tells us Desmond's context
Yeah.
for being in that scene.
How did you find me?
My flat.
Here he goes.
All right.
Enough money and determination. Find anyone.
Ouch!
Wow.
Like Penny's best line ever.
That's a
pretty
good
much.
quote, Penny.
Oh.
Joe Bellavengo. What did you say? I thought you better bring it while you were away.
I was in prison. No way.
Why didn't you write to me?
A single tear.
When did you get married, Ben?
We haven't set a date yet.
I'm not gonna get out.
What if you were back right now?
Look, this race, man. His race. Yeah. I'll be back.
He's pretty naive to think anything he can do would make him look better in his eyes, in the
Yeah.
eyes of Whitmore.
Yeah. It is amazing how desperate he is to get Whitmore's approval.
Yeah. And it also doesn't matter if Penny's getting married.
Mm-hmm.
Does he expect, like, I'll do this in a year, I'll win the race, I'll get the thumbs up from old man,
Yeah.
and then Penny will get a divorce? Or maybe it's not even about her anymore?
Yeah, I can't really tell. But it's crazy if it's like not even about her and he still needs Whitmore's approval.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just on another level.
What did one snowman say to the other snowman? It smells like carrots.
Nice.
Yeah. The question I forgot to ask.
Yeah.
Do you mind? Oh, I insist. So you managed to fix the computer then, did you? The world's still here, ain't it? You're not so sure about that, brother?
We've been dead the whole time.
What?
See, you were down there in the hatch. 3 years. Desmond, what if I told you that before all that, all those years that you and all the men before you were down there pushing that button? What if I told you it was all for nothing? What else you do? How the hell did you know something like that? I found another hatch. Another station on the island. They called it the Pearl. I saw a film there. An orientation film.
Wow, we get a flashback.
Yeah.
That's kind of strange. They don't usually do that.
There was a test. A psychological experiment. They lied.
You know, the thing is, they didn't actually say that.
They said the people in the Swan thought what they were doing was very important.
Yeah.
They didn't say it wasn't.
Whether it was or not.
It's not real.
So that's him inferring that.
Yeah, again, his interpretation.
Exactly.
And also, it doesn't negate the possibility that there's a third station which says the second station
Yeah,
is the test.
it's the real experiment.
Is this room, yeah.
Sober up.
I mean, they show the camera in there. So there's an idea that there's another station where they can watch in there.
Yeah.
It definitely leaves that question open.
Doesn't get pushed.
Oh shit, said America.
Ha!
I've wanted to
Brace
know
his
that
fruit
for
bag.
like ever.
Extra bar? No thanks. You serious? Hey. All right?
Just wrestling with my conscience.
Mm-hmm.
That feels
I remember at the time thinking Michael had some kind of sickness.
Be out here alone.
Because he's so tortured, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just psychological.
Much like the sickness.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming out here. Risking your neck for my boy.
My boy.
You gotta die alone.
Nice.
Title of the episode. Hawaii.
Yep. Somebody's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jin.
이거 우리 말이라고 했잖아.
그러려는 거 아니에요.
알아. 뭘 보여줘, 그리스.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god.
Something
No one was
America
expecting
should
this.
see.
Wow.
Wow.
It was a long ass time.
The rest of the statue is missing. But that it has 4 toes.
See, that's the lost like extra level.
Yeah, the
It's
four toes.
Crazy enough already.
Yeah.
But then he's like, no, there's 4 toes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, God, what does that mean?
And it's so funny because the simple answer wasn't a statue of a human.
Yeah.
Which is totally plausible.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
but we go, oh, it means the others have 4 toes.
Yeah. There has to be some crazy explanation for it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and Saeed calls it disquieting. So it makes me think, like, I should be disquieted by it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's really not that disquieting. There are many statues with various numbers of toes.
Mhm.
It's not really scary.
Mm. Also, the Black Rock knocked that statue down.
True. It's a good point.
Just to throw that in here.
At the time, we wouldn't have guessed that. How did it become just a foot? Maybe the Black Rock ran into its face.
That's a theory we didn't actually come up with during
Never.
the time.
Not at all. Oh shit.
Wow. Lockdown Part 2.
Yep. See, this is good because they...
Oh, he took the stick from him.
Mm-hmm. He saw it going through.
Trick.
And it also helps him to know somebody's in there.
I'm more sure about this than anything in my entire
Oh my
wow.
God.
Famous last words.
What a crazy thing to say.
He was pretty sure he was immaculately concepted, too.
I know. He should be really suspicious if he feels that sure about something.
Yeah.
He's not justified to feel that sure.
Well, he got the proof he needed from one station that told him about another station.
Yeah. Yeah, but... Oh my god. He's leaping to so many conclusions.
Close it.
Wow, he had the foresight to like wrap the book in plastic and take it with him. Damn, Desmond, damn. Nice job. It's a lot of rain.
Ouch. Oh my goodness.
Yep. How many of them are there?
Yeah. And it's weird to see this from this perspective, and it's all blurry. 'Cause
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily Desmond. I mean, some of those shots from his POV, but the ones that
Yeah.
aren't, it kind of doesn't really make any sense for them to be like this.
Yeah.
This is the book.
Yeah, this is a weird style,
Wow.
but it's a great introduction.
I hope it's nobody we've seen before.
What?
Oh my god.
Maybe.
One snowman, same as the other. What are you talking about?
He was disappointed.
Yeah.
Who are you?
He's ready to be relieved of duty. He's been there like 10 years or something. I don't even know how long he's supposed to have been there. It's crazy.
Why? What happened to my boat? I found you washed up on the beach. It's not the boat.
First lie.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, what is the timeline here? He sees him on the beach, he drags him in, then he goes back out to get the boat, and then comes back?
I guess.
What's all that about that?
Hmm.
Just saving the world.
Not long after the experiments began, however, there was an incident. And since that time, following protocol has been every 108 minutes, what must be pushed.
But then that's not the incident from when the Lachis go back in time. That's not the same incident.
I think it has to be.
Because he said after the experiments began, there was an incident. The station wasn't built yet when the incident happened.
Other experiments? No, you're right. It's not consistent. But I think that is what he's supposed to be referring to.
He was my partner.
Oh, this is another good example. Radzinski seems so cool and interesting here.
Mhm.
And they show him to us later. And it's so disappointing.
Yeah.
So I don't get infected out there.
But if we would have seen it in chronological order, we would be introduced to Radzinski being annoying.
Yeah.
And then when we see this scene, we know the annoying person he's talking about.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Self-shot
Exactly.
every 9 days.
See, he says he's going to get infected.
It's not too late.
Like, that's not really the same as the kind of poison gas inhalation or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kelvin doesn't know about the purge, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's clear he doesn't. But he had, like, crazy patience. Because at that point, it's been, like, at least 10 years.
Yeah. Well, he thinks he's saving the world, so
It's
he's
true.
gonna stay.
It is there's a lot of stories like that of people being stuck there
Mm-hmm.
and then using other people who arrive
Yeah.
as a result.
A nice reminder.
Yeah, they want to throw that in. Connect back. But the whole time it's sort of like, well, they've been out here this whole time. Like,
Mhm.
how bad can it be?
Yeah.
You know how they gonna hatch
If it was a big deal, then they're already infected, so it kind of doesn't matter what you do.
Exactly.
Oh, why?
I need your help.
Oh, now I'm back in your good graces, Father?
Son, John locked me up. And I believe he's doing this because he's going to stop pushing that button. And Chad, I'm absolutely certain that if he is successful, in 90 minutes, everyone on this island will die.
Just on the island.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
All these others, think they're left over from the Dharma folks?
Ooh.
I don't know, man.
My theory, there ain't. Why don't you space here?
This is very meta.
Yeah. This is just the audience talking to the audience.
Yep.
Spell, now you're correcting me? What do you think, Freckles?
Just keep moving. Okay, follow.
What?
Just keep smiling.
That's not a smile.
At least two of them across the room. For 5 seconds, I'm gonna turn the tables on.
Like, they didn't,
Yeah.
she didn't tell Jet, she
No.
didn't warn anybody.
No, they just suddenly start shooting, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
This was a bad plan. Like, she could have lured them to a place where they're closer,
Yeah,
where they have high ground advantage.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Totally.
we'll just shoot them from like 50 yards away. That'll be fun.
It really wasn't
Well,
thought
actually,
out
they
at
killed
all.
somebody. So.
That's true.
He's dead. We have to find the other one.
No.
I'm going.
I said no. You crazy? We let him go, they'll know we're coming. He'll pull us in there if we catch him now.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yep.
Already been warned.
By whom? What is your implying gaze implying?
Why do you keep staring at Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you tell them, Michael?
Stop lying.
This is one of my favorite Jack emotions.
Yeah,
Like when he's confrontational and like indignant about something.
he's really good at that. He plays that a lot.
Yeah.
That's not what you're doing, Michael. Now tell them.
He makes these faces.
Yeah.
Tell them.
Before the flashback happens.
They gave me a list.
He just gets on the edge. He's got this rage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's good at it.
Yeah.
I had to bring all four of you back when they said I'd never see my son again. Who are they? It's like I said. They live in a camp with huts. I swear that's it.
You let Henry go?
Oh shit! Now we're getting into some worse
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you start questioning this...
Cut the Hurley.
Yep.
Haven't see you? Maybe.
Well,
Did you?
you know, we
Any other way.
we talk about how Michael was unfairly punished
I didn't have time to think.
with the guilt and
Mhm.
all this stuff of staying behind. But you know, the other people, like Ben, for example, who quote unquote gets off easier, he didn't betray the Lossies this way because he wasn't one of them. So I see why they punish him in a story
Yeah.
context, because this is pretty damn bad.
He started off antagonistic towards them.
Hmm. Yeah, he's a bad guy. He's a villain. He did some things, but like
Yeah.
he was actually one of them.
I mean, in
who
a way,
betrayed
he's
them.
behind this whole thing because
Sure,
it was
sure.
him who, got caught, who wanted to use Michael to lure Jack out. But yeah, ultimately Michael made the decision to do the killing.
Yeah.
And no, but I think, yeah, because he starts out as a good guy, it makes it seem worse.
Mhm.
We already caught them all on us once. If they don't believe that we trust Michael, they'll kill us all.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, God,
When
no.
they jump to those crazy conclusions.
Sorry that I didn't see it. But you have to know that I would never bring you out there if I didn't have a plan.
Oh shit, he's got a plan.
Plan.
Plan?
Boat plan. And it's like, say he does this once and never
Yeah.
again, right?
Yeah, he forgets that he ever did this. Yeah, it's crazy that this is the situation where he decides to pray.
Mm-hmm.
Not like some of the stuff that happens later. Seems a little crazier.
That's the rock Michael described.
Oh, wow.
The end!
All right, Live Together, Die Alone Part 1 is done.
That was the end. See, that's why I think, finales are not... When they split them up into pieces, it's not really like 2 episodes. Because, that, I don't think that was really the end of an episode.
Mhm.
Just...
It's not unfortunate, because they know the big punch is going to come with the next one.
Yeah. It's just
So
like...
it's usually a soft punch in the middle.
Yeah. It's like, we're here. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see the next part, but it's not like, what?
It's not like they got trapped or they got
Yeah.
to a place and there's a surprise.
Yeah. It didn't really blow my mind.
Yeah.
But
But it is like, oh man, now
Mhm.
because on the other side of the Jack part of the storyline
Right.
there, or part of the plan at least, that situation has now changed because they know what's up with Michael, and now really, Saeed's part, Saeed doesn't know that it's been revealed and
Right.
confirmed that Michael is betraying them and all that stuff
Right.
too. So,
yeah, it tied together nicely because he's like, I wouldn't have led you out here if I didn't have a plan.
and then Ghost. The next shot is the boat,
Yeah.
and then they're here, so the next part of the plan is in place.
The big plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the thing we don't realize at this point is it's kind of weird to watch this in retrospect. It's true of both groups actually, but to like watch Saeed go off for like a bad waste of time plot line.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the stuff he does here is fine, but like the season 3 stuff that comes off of this is just really bad.
Yeah.
I want that boat. It's like, oh my god. We have to, and it's like he's leaving for that. Like that's the next thing in this story, and it's just weird to know that. Because at the time it was really exciting. It was like, oh my god, he's gonna infiltrate. He's gonna find stuff. Like what's behind that door?
Yeah.
Like what are they doing in there? What are the
Mhm.
experiments? Why do they make him take these tests? Like
Yeah.
they took Michael's blood. When he gets into camp, and it's like, why did they do that? Like I have no
Mhm.
idea.
Presumably a paternity test for a simple answer.
Paternity test, yeah, okay.
But it's, again, if you rely on their file gathering, info gathering
They should
abilities,
know.
they should know without a doubt that's, that is his dad, but maybe they want to just really, really confirm. But then why? So if it's true or false, what are they going to change? So maybe if it's like, if Michael wasn't his real dad, they'd feel better about keeping Walt forever, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like they're not that moral to care.
No.
And not that they even should, just because he's not his biological dad doesn't mean they should take him.
Yeah.
So it's a little,
Yeah, totally.
it kind of is weird to figure out what.
He's clearly invested in getting Walt back.
Yeah.
He's going all the way for that. And so it doesn't really matter if they're related or not.
Mhm.
He can still be manipulated
Or maybe,
by Walt.
they would want Michael if, well, that's actually not true because they are related and they don't want Michael. So just saying if he, if Walt's special and then Michael's his
They do go back and use
dad.
him later.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to want him for him. They want him as a tool, as someone who can do stuff.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I guess it's Walt and Hurley who were the only two special people who weren't born on the island,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And it
Most
makes
of
me-
them they were born.
it makes
Well,
me
and Desmond.
question-
Did you say Desmond?
No, I did say Desmond.
Okay.
Yeah, but Desmond's specialness is weird. It's very specific.
It is extremely specific. But I feel like with Walt, he was clearly special before he arrived to the island.
Yeah.
I feel like they haven't made it clear whether Hurley was or not. Because he sees Dave here, but it might have been, and he saw him off the island too. Off the island, it was clearly his imagination. I mean, that's the reveal. And on the island, it's either still his imagination or it could be Smoke Monster or something like that. And so it's not clear to me that he sees any ghosts until later, like when he's off the island again. And it gives me the sense that maybe he
developed the specialness here on the island.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, because they don't have a flashback where they show he's always been able to, like with Miles, for example, they showed a flashback where in his childhood he has this, he senses the thoughts of a dead person, and that's how his mom finds out that he has this power.
Yeah.
But they never did that with Hurley. They never showed him as a kid like talking to ghosts and stuff.
Mhm.
So it just feels like maybe that's what happened. Like, just as Locke's legs were cured, maybe Hurley somehow picked this up. I don't really know what we're supposed to think.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe that's how that worked. And maybe the island just sort of augmented Walt, or maybe they were just, I don't know, they fit together well or something, because they both have strange powers. I don't know. I mean, it seems to be a thing. There seems to be a connection between, like, people with special crazy abilities in the island. They never made that concrete. They never really said, here's what it is.
Well, and I was going to say, like, it might be interesting if they said something like, well, because there's pockets of energy everywhere, not just the island. So maybe
Yeah.
there's a pocket of energy where Hurley was born.
Mm-hmm.
Pocket of energy where Walt was born.
Yeah.
You know, and that's part of what's tying them to their powers or something.
Yeah. It seems like the kind of thing a normal show would tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at a certain point, like they'd be like, if you have multiple characters with powers, like normally there's some kind of explanation, and you know, and you have this crazy island, and then you have at least like the suggestion that they're connected.
But maybe they only have powers because they think they have powers.
Oh my god, that's how everyone always gets powers. They just think hard enough.
they do. That's how Mayonnaise get powers. If you've watched True Blood, you know.
Didn't you know that? That's how everyone does everything.
Yeah. It's all mind over matter.
Yeah.
Alright, so you ready for part 2?
Let's do it.
Alright guys, if you're going to sync up with this, we're going to do Live Together, Die Alone part 2. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Almost there.
One.
Go.
It's Riesling.
We'll wait.
I'll be back.
Oh wow! Previously on Lost, like the episode we just saw.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
Did they not air in a 2? It was a 2-hour finale,
I'm pretty
right?
sure they aired them together. I assume that they added that in for like maybe syndication or something, so they
Sure,
could air
sure,
them
sure.
separately.
But like leads you by land, I could approach far more quickly by sea.
Far more quickly.
I had to break
The Rock with the
all of you
hole.
back when I said I'd never see my son again.
Tomorrow, we're gonna find out what happens if that button doesn't get pushed.
What?
I feel like Locke would want to know what's going on with the other group, with the
Yeah.
others.
Yeah, I totally agree. They get compartmentalized here,
Lock me up.
and it's kind of
And
strange.
Jake is doing this because he's going to stop pushing that button. I'm absolutely certain. And if he is successful, 90 is everyone on this island will die.
But they always did finales like this. They were always separate groups, and they had their own plots.
Yeah.
And like they didn't really have to overlap very much at all.
So they're looking for the entrance to the station. Was he trying to get into a different part of the station or something?
No, he's trying to find the dynamite.
Oh, the dynamite.
Because he's gonna dynamite in there.
Wow.
Yeah. One of the shockingly enduring characters.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see him like 5 more times.
This is such a bad plan.
It is. It's a ridiculous plan.
What if we hurt them? Oh,
Or cave in the station.
Mm-hmm.
And it is technically a blast door.
Right.
So it's like, it's probably supposed to prevent blasts from...
Literally designed to resist blasts.
very upset, John. Let's go through the story and talk about it. John.
Yeah, Echo's actually just as crazy as Locke is right now.
Yeah.
Like, they both went from 0 to crazy in like 2
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
Because that's what Locke would do. If Echo had locked him
Yeah.
out here, Locke would have gone in for the dynamite.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They have a lot of things in common.
Too bad they didn't see eye to eye more.
It's true.
Oh, this is where it is, folks. You
Yep.
know, like...
Wow. I don't know. Is it true? If you actually paint on the wall with detergent, does it
Someone
actually
probably looked that up and figured it out, if this is true or not.
look
I'm
cool
sure.
like that? Okay.
Because it's supposed to, well, like, it's sort of like a blacklight thing.
Yeah.
And that's ultraviolet light.
Yeah.
So does detergent reflect ultraviolet light? I mean, maybe.
Yeah, right, Brzezinski. Brzezinski figured out how to
And I do like the fact that he is a military guy, so this is something he could have, realistically known about,
for some reason.
like a tactic to use.
Never want to tell me what happened to him. See what Brown's saying there? That's Brzezinski.
It would be so weird if he started talking.
Yeah, like if he didn't say this part,
Yeah.
then Rosinski's just a spot on the
I've
wall
been
that I
here the
talked
whole
to.
time.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't want me to go crazy, next time let me go.
You want to go out there with the quarantine and the hostels?
I haven't been outside for 2 bloody years. Yes, I want to go out to the army.
So, if he's thinking about the quarantine at hostels, see, if the quarantine is from the purge, which it almost shouldn't be, but it should be,
Yeah.
because then that means that he got there after the purge.
That's the thing. I feel like he had to have gotten there before the purge.
Yeah.
But I feel like he got there like a month before or something. Something so close.
Yeah.
Thank God I joined the Dharma Initiative. Namaste, thank you, and good luck.
Hey, that's our ending.
Please, Calvin.
Yeah, don't mock us.
Don't
Damn,
mock the Lost
Calvin.
Lowdown.
How dare you?
Just once.
Silence. You stay here. You push the button. That's an order.
You may not know, but I don't take orders very well in any kind of military context.
Seriously, you're about to be detonated.
Charlie's being the most reasonable here, actually.
Yeah. Surprisingly.
Like, try to talk everyone into, like, not being insane.
What sounds right? Maybe it's just some colossal joke. You know, it's just some old computer connected to nothing. Maybe it's just a bunch of wires that...
Magnetism is not a joke, I would agree.
I'll see myself out.
Unless it's like a magnet walks into a bar.
Hope your pants can still hold up.
That was an optional, that was just a fashion belt. It wasn't a load-bearing belt.
Open the door and I will forgive you.
That's the thing, it's not conclusive, but
Mhm.
it's sort of like there's something there.
Again, it goes back to your interpretation.
Yeah.
Something's there, does that mean... You know, it doesn't prove his point that they should or should not press the button.
It's true.
Echo? Wait.
It's not clear that there's any connection with the button.
Because if you want somebody to think it matters, then you would maybe do that.
Yeah.
We're in a very confined area.
Echo's crazy. He's just gonna go on
Yep.
the other side of the wall.
That's all he's gonna do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that explosion would like suck all the oxygen out of the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Charlie's surprisingly unfazed by that, as I recall.
Well, that's an explosive beginning
Yeah. But literally.
with an implosive ending coming.
It's a good point. I forgot they did have a real explosion. But it doesn't open the door, does it? Well, I guess we'll find out.
Alright?
Yeah, look at those new washers and dryers, and they really
Mhm.
should be pretty old.
Yep.
Oh, geez, yeah. Failsafe.
Oh.
This is nice too, because you didn't think there was really anything else to find out.
It's true.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, they wrap up and give us a lot of like final thoughts on this hatch,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they still leave a lot of questions unanswered.
Other way out, partner.
What are you talking about?
Fail safe. Turn this key and this all goes away.
What's behind that wall, Kelvin? Huh? What was the incident?
Ooh.
Electromagnetism. Geologically unique.
The incident.
There was a leak. So now the charge builds up, and every time we push the button, it discharges it.
That almost doesn't make any sense. The incident was the leak.
Mm-hmm.
So, something happened and it started leaking.
Here's the real question, Desmond.
I mean, as weird as Dharma is, I could imagine they tell new recruits like a story about the incident that maybe isn't exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he certainly wasn't there at the time.
I think your friends just put themselves up on. Maybe we should run out.
Yeah, so the dynamite really didn't work.
Blast doors.
Trick.
It was not a trick.
Is your doctor up? Can I ask you a question, Mama? Absolutely. Is the reason for letting that clock there all the way down to the very last thing?
But Desmond knows it does something. Doesn't he? We've already been through this.
That's what's problematic about it.
I looked down the barrel of the gun, and I believed. I thought it was my destiny to get into this place. And somebody died, a kid, because he was stupid enough to believe that I knew what I was talking about. And on the night that he died, for nothing, I was sitting right up there, all alone, beating my hand bloody against this door, screaming to the heavens, asking what I should do. Then a light went on. I thought it was a sign.
Hmm.
It wasn't a sign. Probably just you going to the bathroom.
I think it's a bit weird they didn't take this stuff down when they left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks somewhat elaborate. Those structures are
Yeah, that took some effort to build.
significant. They got doors. They got wood plank foundations. Like, to build all that for a ruse is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Uh-oh,
yeah.
the answers lie behind these doors.
Oh, yes. I think it's so hilarious that the logo on here is just a
This
door,
is a door.
which is literally all it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the fatch has begun.
That is so crazy. Like, they were standing guard in front of this thing. That's so weird. I mean, it shuts that plot line instantly.
And it's
So I
weird
get
that
it,
it's
but-
weird to even like the others in Dharma are different things. So
Yeah.
it's even weird that they would co-opt the
Totally.
hatches just for what?
Yeah, it's really strange. And did Dharma put that there, or did they manufacture a Dharma door and have it, like, shipped there?
Yeah, was that uh-oh.
Yeah, then there's this.
Oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Desmond would love to see this.
Yep.
It's all from the hobo. What's wrong?
Just so we're sure, that is where it came from.
Oh, 415.
Oh, 415.
Oh, yeah. That is a lot of canisters.
That's a lot.
Like, they just move on from this and they never go back here again. But I feel like this isn't really resolved.
I think there's so much information they could find about the island from reading these entries.
Totally.
To read about who was doing what in the hatch and when.
Yeah. And
Get a whole timeline of the last 20 or however long
Totally.
this was.
And there, They're already done with it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Hear the whispers to warn them that the others are coming, right? Is that what the whispers are for,
I
Michael?
guess. There's just no way Jack's getting out of this.
No, they're sitting ducks.
This seems like really hopeless.
Go, Jack. You can. Oh,
Yeah.
Mustard. Go,
He's
go,
like,
go.
I can power through. I can power through.
Yeah.
Tell me what this other hatch you found. This, well, the Pearl is a psychological station full of teeth monitors. Two men sat in viewing chairs, filled notebooks, observations on what happened in here, and then they put the notebooks in pneumatic tubes and sent them back to their headquarters so they could evaluate us.
So what does it mean that they're in a pile there? I mean, does it mean that
So, I
no
think
one
that-
ever cared what they wrote?
No, I think the idea is Dharma was picking those up until Dharma got killed. But then there were still people sending them out there for that much
a
time.
crazy long time.
Yeah.
Like, to make such a huge pile. And
Or proves that the Pearl Station was part of the experiment. The question is, even if you don't need the canisters, why build this thing and to dump them in the middle of nowhere?
Right. And I'm also wondering how they got so many canisters. Like, normally you send the canister back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, they had a supply of, like, thousands and
So,
thousands of those
whatever
fucking
people were-
canisters.
Whatever people were in the Pearl needed food and supplies, so that must have been coming with however they got food.
Yeah.
But it was a ridiculous amount of canisters. You wouldn't
Yeah.
normally, you'd reuse those.
And, like, those assignments were supposed to be shorter. Like, it makes it seem like they were there for a long time doing that. And then, I mean, I guess that's okay. I guess that, like, makes some sense more or less. But it just feels strangely...
Well, I wonder if it's
Big.
like people in the Pearl are watching things outside, Dharma gets killed off in the Purge. They're still in the Pearl watching, potentially Brzezinski and Calvin.
Right.
And then Brzezinski kills himself. They're like, this is over.
Mhm.
And the people in the Pearl leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is great. I love when details just give little things away.
Yep. It's like, I feel like you didn't know you were supposed to suspect this.
Yeah.
Like, could it have just been a ruse?
Well, and it could be that he's a mistake, that he should have warned Kelvin
Yeah.
that his suit had a tear.
Totally, but he interprets it suspiciously,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it could have just been accidental. He could be, like, exposing himself right now.
Mm-hmm. Like, that might
See?
not be helping.
Yeah, like, he's not willing, he's still, like, halfway not
Yeah,
sure.
he's got to make sure. And this is where it really goes wrong, is he takes all this off too
Yep.
soon.
But this is where you know, like, oh, actually, the rip was a clue.
Yeah.
And he's just using that to keep Desmond inside.
Yeah, because I assume by now he has a plan to leave, and he wants someone there to press it. And that's what I
Yeah.
like, too, is that he's still not convinced you shouldn't press the button.
Right.
But he just doesn't want to do it.
Exactly. He's had enough. He's been there forever.
Yeah.
And he finds someone he thinks. And that's so often a story. I mean, that's what Across the Sea is like.
Exactly
Just
the
like,
same thing. Here's a new person to
Yeah.
have the burden.
And they can replace me because I'm done with this. But I think it's kind of crazy.
Oh,
that
reveal.
Oh yeah. What? He said no boat.
Well, gosh, I didn't think you had the stones to come after. I was a spook for 10 years, Des. I know what I'm being followed.
Yeah, and I guess this is the day he was actually going to leave.
Yep.
Fixing it. You believe it? Well, I mean, not yet.
Oh, okay. Week away.
You reckon pretty good, Des. What do you think?
What did he say about dams?
Why did you lie to me? I lied to you because I needed a sucker to save the world after I left.
So he doesn't think it does anything?
Yeah, it's not clear.
What else did you like about it? What else? Tell me.
I think it's crazy that, you know, there is the quarantine, there is the vaccine, there is all that stuff, but the only time we ever see it, Kelvin's manipulating it for his own reasons.
Yeah.
And so we never really find out what the original purpose of it was, because it's clear he just kind of co-opted the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to me like his offer was genuine. Like, he didn't really know, and he thought the best play was just to be like, well, you can come.
Yeah. Now that he's found him out,
Yeah.
you can come with me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean,
Because he could have at the beginning told, if he didn't care about the button,
yeah.
this wouldn't have worked for the storyline necessarily, but he could have said, hey, Desmond, we're in this situation.
Yeah.
You got a boat, I'm helping to fix it up. You should help me. We can get out of here sooner.
Yeah,
oh, this
that's
is
true.
crazy, though. This is the first time we ever see this.
That's true.
Like, something does happen if you miss 108.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this gives us a little preview.
Yeah. It seems like the countdown should be 100 minutes and then give you an 8-minute buffer.
Yeah. Yeah. It would make more sense. It used to bother me a lot that, like, you had that much window of time and the world's not over yet.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted it to be, like, instant. And I was very disappointed. But now I understand. Now it doesn't really bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and on these things, the times are 108 minutes apart.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really work because they always push it before.
Mm-hmm.
At least usually. And so it should be different times each time.
Mm-hmm.
Not like uniform.
It was September 22nd.
Oh my god. That's mind-blowing.
And America goes well.
But also, like, it makes the whole thing seem like an accident. It
Mhm.
just seemed random. And like
Another
weird-
coincidental accident.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, jeez.
It's cool to have a reason, but... Yeah, this scene. Classic.
Is this Paula Fairy?
Yep.
Take it.
Uh-oh. He's already starting with Sawyer.
Yep. This is first kick.
So I miss you, I didn't get you.
She says she knows your beard's fake, Tom.
Yeah, because no one else is wearing a beard. So,
Yeah.
like,
Tell
why
you how much this thing gets you.
why does it even matter?
Thanks for telling him my name.
And, like, that guy behind him, like, his beard's real, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what? Why did he wear a fake beard? It's so weird. So weird.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is great. Because we haven't seen him for like 3 or 4 episodes at this point.
Oh my god, it's Henry Gale. Will you do my back surgery?
It would be nice, right? So much simpler. Oh, that's so weird.
I think they know.
Now that I
They know
took it
that
off.
they know that I don't have a beard. Like, why is that a problem?
Yeah, because it doesn't tell them that everything they're wearing is fake.
It's true.
I forgot. What did he say?
He said, let's take care of business.
Oh. Thought it was like, let's kill them all. It seemed like a very tense...
It did. They're writing a lot on, like, we don't know who he is.
Mhm.
We didn't know he was the leader.
Yeah.
So... Man.
Jeez. Yeah, Echo, when there's dynamite, you should get more than 5 feet away from the explosion.
Yeah. That really wasn't very well planned. And it didn't even open the door.
Well, and what's funny is I'm pretty sure he could get in there through the vents.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
He definitely could.
Still, your brother, I
That's what
I
they
mean, he
did.
might be too big, but
Yeah.
it's a possibility.
He could send Charlie.
Last one came down, this whole place started to shake. And that scream filled up a system.
And see, now Locke is being convinced that he was wrong. The
Yep.
most sure thing ever.
Yep.
Now it's like, you're wrong, Locke.
Yep. If... Exactly. So that's the thing. Desmond didn't really know that this happened, that the plane had crashed.
He didn't know the repercussions of it,
Yeah.
and now this is blowing his mind.
So now he's like, oh, it is real. But then Locke, of course, is like...
But what's strange is, this should convince Locke
Yeah.
that he was right all along.
Yeah.
He was on the right path. He was meant to open the hatch. Like, but somehow now that he's turned his back on that, it's too prideful to say he was wrong about
Yeah.
his own choice. It's so
He
so
has
weird.
to, like, stick with it. He can't give it up. It's like, oh, you could have done that. Nice.
He's not gonna help.
Can I get some help? Can you help me?
I'm trying, Rob.
I think another minor point about this episode is the way that there's really no acknowledgement of the plot from The Constant.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it should be related to some of this stuff. They don't really talk about it at all.
Yeah.
About how he's like, I'll call you in whatever many years, and, you know. Like, she doesn't seem to be expecting that at all.
Dearest Date, I'm writing this letter to you as you leave for prison, and I've hidden it in the one place you return to.
So that book was never opened in all these years.
I know
Yep.
This letter never fell out.
and I know the only person who can ever take it off is you. Please don't give up.
It's weird that Desmond's conflict centers on something they never explained.
One person who truly loves it. You have her. I will wait for you always. I love you.
Well, I'm not gonna wait for you when I marry this other guy, but... Like, I almost wish when he's like, when's the date pin? And she was like, I called it off as soon as I heard you were out. Or, you know, she didn't really wait for him.
No.
Yet, they're the love of all time. You know, the
It's
greatest
true.
love ever.
Yeah. What's gone?
Hope he doesn't break that Geronimo Jackson LP. What is all gone?
Yeah, I have no idea what he was talking about.
Like he can't get her now, or
yeah, I guess, but it's just like, I feel like it should be clear. This should be a really cool moment.
you know what's strange about this though? Is this seem like it's right after? It's like the same day that he killed Kelvin,
Yeah.
but it's not.
No, it was like
This is
several weeks later.
later.
Yeah.
Well, this is now I'm really confused.
Yeah.
Cause like what? He knows someone's up there,
He was just happy that there was someone up there.
but then he doesn't go.
But he
and talk to
doesn't go
them.
talk to him. Yeah, that's the thing that bothers me about it.
Unless when he says he's all gone, did he think that he destroyed the world? Like, I almost feel like that's what they're trying to hint at.
Maybe. Maybe.
I'm gonna have stores.
Okay, and the fact that there's a person there means he didn't destroy the world?
Yeah,
I've
And then
never thought about
And then he needs to
that.
stay down there now and keep pressing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that I can save yours? No, no, no. None of this is real. Nothing is gonna happen. We're gonna be okay. I'm gonna go, and you go get as far away from here as possible. Go where? Stop! I'm gonna blow it down, Tom.
I think
Oh,
the
that's
dam
the
was...
dam.
Yeah.
Sorry for what happened. It made you stop believing. But it's all real. And now I've got to go and make it all go away.
And that's another comment about belief is the all or nothing.
Yep.
Because it's more likely parts are real.
Right. I think that is the reality. There's a real aspect to it. There's also some manipulation going on.
There's some miscommunications.
Yep.
There's some misinterpretations.
Yep. Yeah, that's when magnets get scary. Sharp, pointy things start flying at your face. This must have been cool at the end of the season to just, like, have this crazy big finale
Yeah.
for the set.
Stop trying to help me.
Get out of my face.
The Watcher.
They are so new. Oh my god.
It's kind of okay they're new here, but back when Kelvin was there, it made really no sense.
Oh my god.
Do you believe now, John? Oh, that was the best part when even the countdown clock gets taken off. Oh, God.
It's just so frustrating.
It's so pathetic. And
He
that's
was-
all you have to say is, oh, it's wrong.
He was more sure of it than anything in his whole
Yeah.
life, like 20 minutes ago.
And if after this, he could remember how he can be sure in something and be wrong. If he took that with him in the future,
Yeah.
he could excuse it. But
It
he
would be
doesn't.
worth it. No, not at all.
Truly loves us. And you have her. I will wait for you. Always.
God, I wish that was true. It's
Until I find that guy I'm gonna marry.
Yeah, until I find that find the guy that my dad will like. Boop. This is great.
Yeah.
I really love this because, you know, in the middle of all this and Ben having the power in this situation, he has no idea what this is about.
Yeah.
But then, of course, when we're watching it the first time, we don't know if he knows.
For all we know, he does know.
Yeah. That looked like Bernard.
It was Bernard, wasn't it?
Why is Bernard there?
Oh, with the others?
Yeah.
No, I assume they cut, because I know we see Bernard
Oh,
here.
okay. Okay, I thought we were on the ferry.
Yeah, that must be weird. It's like,
Everything lit up.
yeah. Like, what are we supposed to do about that?
Oh, and this.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the big grand finale for the
Yeah,
hatch.
look at that. Which is, of course, crazy. Not only because the hatch imploded, but we saw all the metal things being taken in towards the epicenter.
Yeah.
Yet this one thing flies out.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to tell the people at the beach what just
Exactly.
happened.
Exactly. It's a good visual. I think that's what matters there.
Okay? Nice. So
And like he was inside when it happened.
Yeah.
His clothes are still on.
There's no clear like explanation of what happens with the three of them. Yeah, he's like, they're not back yet? Like, really?
Mhm.
Like, that's what you say?
Like, why did you think they would beat you there, number one?
Yeah.
If you're coming from the same place and you just got there.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I'm happy about the arrangement that was made with you, Michael, but we got more than we bargained for when Walt joined us, so I suppose this is what's best.
I don't think that's true, because later on he says this was his plan.
Mm-hmm.
You lived up to your word.
That means nothing to me.
You live up to our word, too. You know how to drive a boat? Yeah, I can drive a boat good. You're going to take this boat and follow a compass bearing of 325. And if you do that exactly, you and your son will find rescue.
I remember that being so vague.
Mm-hmm.
Follow the bearing and be much like a rescue. Yes. How do you know I won't tell people about where I was? Maybe you will, maybe you won't. And it won't matter. Once you leave, you'll never be able to get back. And my hunch is you won't say a word to anybody. Because if you do, people will find out what you did to get your son back.
Well, I'll leave out that part.
We're friends. I was promised you wouldn't hurt them. Deal's a deal.
Which is null and void once you leave the island.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, this.
I've been doing that, Michael. It's like, well, what are we?
It's so weird to have them say that.
Yeah.
What am I, stupid? Where's my son? Walt's inside.
He's being very quiet until his cue.
But it's at least to some extent about perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Bon voyage, Michael.
That's what you say before the boat blows up.
Yeah, you're right.
That's so weird.
It seems like he
He's
was
just,
hiding or
He's just
something.
like hearing everything.
Yeah.
But he's never gonna call out for his dad. You
Yeah.
know, his dad is literally 3 feet away.
Yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah, I think they probably told him to hide so Michael didn't see him. but-
Yeah.
We're going home.
Part of me thinks they'd be scarier if they were just in regular clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hugo, go back to your camp.
What?
Go back. Your job is to tell the rest of your people they can never come here.
What about my friends?
This doc? Like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Friends are coming home with us.
Oh man, that was so scary.
Yeah.
Go.
I don't want to go home with you.
So is it like Ben told the others that these people were on Jacob's list, so that's why the others went along to help him get them, but it's really so that he can get Jack, who's not on Jacob's list, to do the surgery?
Well, that's the confusing thing. Like, he told them they were on Jacob's list, and why does Pickett say he wasn't on the list?
Well, because then he actually saw the list,
Oh,
but
okay.
didn't have it.
There's some off-screen thing where he sees it and
Mhm.
realizes. Yeah. No,
Although,
I like that idea.
I don't know. It seems like he had to fabricate a list.
Yeah, exactly.
So why not put
exactly.
his name on there?
And then say, yeah, this is Jacob's list.
How do you leave your friends like bound and gagged with guns pointed to the back of their head?
Just add it to the pile of why you feel so guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a lot of guilt. Live together, die alone.
Oh, I remember these looks.
Yep.
It's
That
like,
was a gulp.
what do the looks mean?
And he's looking at them looking.
And it's bag on the head. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
that's
bag.
gonna be it.
I remember this is when Charlie's crazy.
I think this is a misstep. I think this really should not be the last scene in this episode.
It should have been that previous
Yeah,
scene.
it would have
back to
been
the
way
head.
better to see this first. Because this scene is just so lacking.
Nearly being killed by the slamming fireball or the flying frog.
I want you to be serious. Something happened. And that noise and the sky turned that weird violet color.
And it didn't look violet to us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, what's going on with Charlie? Did he
I
get a
almost-
transformation?
I
Like,
almost
what
feel
happened to
the
him?
exposure to the implosion, it knocked his brain around a little bit.
Yeah. Like he's delirious or something.
Or this is Man in Black.
That would be
Because
awesome.
he's just off.
He is. He's just not normal at all. He
And
really,
then why this moment? Why is
Yeah.
she kissing him? Like,
it just makes no sense. It's like, oh, you're lying about what happened. I'm gonna kiss you now.
Mhm.
Like, as an audience, like, I don't know what this scene does for us. It's just confusing and weird.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense, and I think that was a bizarre way to close out the island story. But they did have this. So I think this saves it.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty cool.
This is insane. This will keep it going until next season.
This was mind-blowing. I remember I thought this was a commercial at first.
For, like, coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Something against the cold. I remember some people thought that guy was Jack.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay. Se não percebeu de novo, eles vão matar a gente. Já. Nós perdemos. Bate o que eu e o malandro. Bate o que eu e o mensagem do cala a boca e chama ajuda.
The big yellow phone. Yeah, there's some jackness to his face.
There is. It's strange. But yeah, this, oh my god.
Desligou. It's ours. I think we found it.
Picture of Desmond is on the bedside table.
Mm-hmm. That's a great look. Penny was really good. I forgot the
Yeah.
actress's name now, but
Sonia Walger.
yeah, she's really good.
Yeah.
All right, Live Together, Die Alone, Part 2.
That
the
was
end.
that was a pretty awesome ending.
Yeah.
I have to say. As bad as the Charlie Claire scene was.
Well, the idea that someone from the outside can, we
Yeah.
just heard Ben say you can't get back here,
Yep.
you can't find this place,
Yep.
and now you have someone on the outside who has a scientific way of locating them.
Yep.
And it ties back into what she said about always waiting for Desmond.
Totally.
I think it's weird then that she was going to get married. I don't know
Yeah.
what that does. Because you know what?
Yeah.
It would have been so much better if she was still waiting for him. When he gets out of prison, Widmore's like, I tried to set her up, it didn't work.
Mhm.
Like, she's been waiting on you this whole time.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some money to go away. Then Desmond's like, no, I'm going to prove it to you. I deserve your daughter, so I'm going to go on this solo race.
Mhm.
That would work so much better.
Yeah, I agree.
And the idea that she was just going to move on.
Yeah.
But doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really add
That's,
up.
I don't know. That's weird.
So, I think the thing I remember from that ending that was really cool for me was it's the first time we've actually seen Off the Island in the present. Like, Off the Island.
Oh, yeah. It was huge to get that perspective of, like, this is what's going on
Yeah.
while the Losties are lost. This is something else happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, for all we know, I mean, we have no idea. We've just been on the island. We see the flashbacks, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, no, the island really exists. It can be detected. I mean, you can infer from that they're detecting the the button not being
They
pushed.
said electromagnetic
The fail-safe.
like 15 times this
Yeah.
episode, so you know what's going on.
It was clearly reinforced, that whole idea. It does raise the question of like how Penny knew what to look for,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how to find it. I remember reading that there was an original version or an alternate version of this ending where it wasn't Penny, it was Widmore. Like someone brings in like a report to him or something and says like they found it, sir, you know, something like that, and it was going to be Widmore.
Yeah.
And, you know, it makes sense because this is actually a misdirection. Like, when Widmore's boat shows up, they tell him it's Penny who sent them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Naomi has the picture,
Yeah.
and so they use that to, and it's a pattern in the show of like using a situation to make us infer something, you know, that, you know, is just then tricking us.
Yeah.
You know, whereas if they told us it were Widmore's now, then that whole freighter plotline would change.
Yeah.
You know.
Because it's Widmore looking for Desmond, not Penny. So when the
Exactly.
boat shows up, it's kind of like, well, it's got to be Widmore's boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't really do that sort of, are they good, are they bad, are they here to kill us all, or are
Yeah.
they, you know, because it's like, there's no way Penny's going to be there to kill them all.
Yeah.
You know. And the not Penny's boat thing, obviously,
Classic.
you know, that's the next season, the end of the next season before we find that out.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah,
I think that scene with Charlie and Claire is such an outlier. It seems like it's from a different episode or something. Like
Yeah.
they almost don't make any points.
Mhm.
Almost nothing happens. Like they don't really reach any conclusion about anything.
yeah,
Like a lot of crazy stuff just happened, and he says nothing happened.
yeah.
And he specifically just said, you know, the fireball I dodged or the fork,
Mhm.
which is two crazy things that just happened. Nothing happened.
Yeah. She thinks he's joking, and
Yeah.
he lets her believe that. He's like, yeah, nothing happened.
Yeah, but then they see the debris from the station flying everywhere, and the sky turned purple.
Yeah. And the fact that the first thing he said was like, they're not back yet?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like...
I want to go and imagine that just like Desmond's consciousness travels through time when he gets zapped with electromagnetism or whatever, like something smaller than that happened to Charlie where he's confused and he's lost, and maybe the sense of time is off, so
Yeah.
that's why he thought they were supposed to have been back by now.
Yeah.
Because he felt like he was gone longer or something. It's so you can't really get there on your on
Yeah.
your own. Like
Yeah, they don't give you enough to really infer a conclusion like that. It's just like, you're trying to do work for them. You're trying to figure out, like, why would they write this scene?
Mhm.
What are they trying to communicate to us?
Yeah.
About Charlie and about the situation. Like, I really, that's why it's a weird scene. Like, I don't really know how to take it.
yeah,
But I also don't like it because it doesn't really give us anything.
mm-hmm.
You know, it just feels awkward and strange, and it's such a light, like, nothing note, and that's the final shot on the island.
yeah.
Is the two of them, and it's just like, yeah, I just think that was a huge mistake. I'm just surprised they didn't watch that in editing and were like, this scene doesn't work at all.
Yeah, which makes it, which you have to imagine means that they thought it worked for whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So what is it that they're doing that they think is working?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm really not sure. I feel like you're on the right track. I mean, I feel like, you know, it's clear that Locke and Echo are in some way affected. I mean, you know, Locke loses his voice, you know,
Mhm.
so, you know, this idea that, the consciousness traveling, as you pointed out, like there's Desmond gets his future predicting power, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow, I forgot about that whole era where he's
yeah,
predicting the future with various results.
yeah, exactly. So it's clear that the hatch implosion did affect the people who were there
Mhm.
in some strange ways. So it's not totally crazy that it would have like scrambled his brain to some extent, and he's not like looking at the situation rationally. He's just, you know, he's kind of confused about what's going on, and he's just playing it off. Maybe he has some memory loss, or he doesn't fully remember what happened. I don't know. It's weird. He obviously remembers something. But
Well, I was just gonna say, like, it'd be different if he couldn't, if his memory was, if they wanted to tell us that his memory was affected, they shouldn't have had him be very specific about something that just happened, which is
it's
the
true.
fireball
the
and the
flying
fork.
yeah.
You know, and then I could imagine him saying nothing happened if he can't remember.
Yeah.
But he obviously remembers something. I was just looking up the transcript here. It's a very short scene. There's like 6 lines. And it's just like, what happened? And he says, do you want to hear these 2 things? I want you to be serious. Nothing happened. You know, and it's almost like, okay, are we supposed to think he's protecting her from the danger he was in? You know, so it's like, here's 2 crazy things. I almost died from these 2 crazy things.
Yeah.
And then Claire's like, oh, I want you to be serious, you know. But it's like, why wouldn't she think that's it? I mean, flying fork. Okay, I guess that just doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I want to crack this scene.
Yeah.
It's so small, it seems like you should be able to understand what's going on.
It's like
here.
6 or 7 lines. Like, it really shouldn't be that enigmatic. Like, I don't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then she says, like, something happened. And then Charlie says, did it?
Well, he's saying, did the sky turn color? You know, did the sky turn purple? He didn't see that part.
She's just
so
responding.
fair.
He's just responding to the sky turning.
Yeah.
I thought he meant, did something happen?
No, I think he said, yeah, the noise and the sky turned purple.
Yeah, okay.
And he's like, oh, did it turn purple?
Yeah.
But I feel like even his question is going on with the idea that something happened. Like,
Right.
oh, when this thing happened that I know happened, the sky turned purple?
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. But then they close on that.
Because he says it did it like, yeah, I feel like if he didn't know something happened, then he would go, oh, why did the sky turn purple?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, oh, I knew this thing happened, and here's a observation I wasn't aware of, so he was
Right.
interested in that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, when this thing happened, this other thing also happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Like Claire seems like semi-rational here, like asking reasonable questions, pointing out the obvious, like the stuff we saw and the stuff that she should.
And he's cut up, like he's got,
Yeah.
he says ow is one of his lines, he's
Yeah.
bleeding, so something definitely happened.
But she lets him off really easily. Like she
Not
lets
only
him,
lets him
like-
off, but she kisses him.
Yeah.
Is this their first kiss?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, that's
on
kinda like-
screen.
So I feel like what they're trying to get out of this scene is Charlie seemingly in danger. He almost lost his life. Claire upset about that. So Charlie tries to defuse the situation and lie and say nothing happened. Like I really wasn't in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees he's vulnerable and hurt.
Yeah.
And maybe that's endearing that he's protecting her. So that's why she kisses him.
Yeah.
I feel like something like that's what they're going for, but that's just a character thing. But from a story perspective, he's not telling her this crazy thing that just happened. And
Yeah.
so why is that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I feel like I don't, it's just, we all saw what happened, and this is our last chance to really, like, have them tell us something or whatever, and it's just extremely frustrating to have someone who actually lived through the whole thing, and he comes back, you know, we're wondering what happened to Locke and Echo, and, you know, what happened to the hatch? All we saw was the door. Like, at this point, we don't actually know about the implosion.
Yeah.
You know, it's really next season where we see what actually happened there. You know? And so, it's kind of a mystery, and then the fact that Charlie's so blasé about it is just weird. And, like,
There's a time travel aspect to you know, to the island and what the powers are there, and I almost feel like there's something there where Charlie says they're not back yet, to this idea that maybe he feels like he came back before the hatch imploded, you know, like the hatch implodes, some weird time thing happens to his brain, and when he is back conscious, he feels like it's before all that. But obviously not, because he's saying these lines about what happened. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that still works. Like maybe, basically, I guess what I'm saying is maybe he doesn't remember up until the implosion. You know, maybe all he remembers is right before that. So that's why he's saying nothing happened, because all that really happened was that build-up that he's now kind of like diffusing. But he doesn't remember, and I guess he probably shouldn't remember the implosion because it was some big crazy thing that happened instantaneously, sort of. So maybe that's the idea, is he doesn't remember that. And that's why he just did it. He wasn't observing.
Right.
You know? And if it was an implosion, then he should have been kind of gone, right?
Yeah.
From in some other place where, for whatever fraction of a second or time that might be.
I think they all should have been. I mean,
Because then they end up in different places.
It's crazy that they all survive.
Oh, and maybe that's part of it,
and
too,
they're kind of
why
zapped.
they're not back yet, right? Because they end up in different places.
Yeah.
So he ends up closer to the beach.
Yeah.
You know? That would kind of make sense. He ends up closer, so when he gets back there, they're obviously not there yet because they're further away.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. It's like, why do we have to do this much work for this scene?
You're right.
It just
That's a
shouldn't
big
be
question.
that hard, you know?
Yeah. But I guess if they're trying to say these crazy things we're theorizing, then
Yeah.
I guess this is how you...
Then that makes sense.
But you know what a simple answer is? Charlie, what happened? I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which they do all the time.
Yeah.
They love that amnesia shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's an easy out for them all the time, especially when something traumatic and
Echo
crazy
was trying to
happens
blow
like
up
this.
the door, and then I showed up on the beach.
And I don't remember the rest. It would be fine. And they could get to the same, like, end point here, you know, like...
Mm-hmm.
You know, like... Because it feels like it's supposed to be a simple scene, you know, about Charlie and Claire connecting.
Yeah.
You know, but because of the way Charlie's behaving, I can't get invested in it like a normal scene, because I'm just wondering the whole time why Charlie's so weird.
Yeah.
You know? And it just doesn't feel like he's even in the right state of mind to connect with Claire. You know?
Yeah, and then that whole idea of nothing happened kind of goes back to pressing the button, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a crazy scene.
It really is. It really is.
Well, maybe by the time we get to the end of the show, it'll make sense. I'm sure we said that one before.
Yeah. Yeah, it won't be the last time.
So, okay, well, we just ended season 2.
Yep.
Pretty crazy.
It was very definitive, I think. It's really a nice thread in the episode that we tie up some loose ends as far as the hatch goes. They show us the origin of the Blastor map.
Why the plane crashed?
They tell us why the plane crashed. There's a connection there with the button. We had no idea. And they, they tell us more about Desmond. They tell us more about Dharma.
So, now this begs the question. If Desmond not pressing the button caused the plane to crash, Jacob knew that was going to happen? Because he orchestrated the Losties to get on that flight.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was hoping that would happen, or knew it would happen, or what?
It's a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in season 6, talking about this, because, if the whole point of the show is that Jacob chose these people because they were broken to come and be candidates to replace him, and it was always their destiny to come to the island, and we know there's a lot of shit about getting people on that flight.
Mm-hmm.
They've developed numerous storylines like that at this point. And on the other hand, it does seem actually like a total coincidence that Desmond didn't, but their names are on the wall. They had to come there, right? I mean...
Are their names on the wall after they get there, or are their names on the wall before they get there?
I assume their names have been on the wall for a long time.
Since when?
Since, I don't know when. I guess that's a good question. But
Well,
I would
hopefully
say,
not before they were born.
I would say... Yeah, probably not before they were born. But, I mean, he went to visit Kate when she was very young. Sawyer, too. Some of them definitely from childhood.
That's true.
So, he knew about them at a fairly early age, I think. But, yeah, I don't
So
know.
you tell me... So basically, by the time he visits people, they should have already been broken.
the weird thing is, in their
Which
Yeah.
makes sense for Sawyer, I guess
Yeah.
for Kate. Sun and Jin, it was at their wedding.
Yeah.
I guess they were already broken.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who else do we see him go to? Oh, Saeed. Saeed wasn't really... Well, I feel like Saeed was okay, because he was with Nadia.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't okay after Nadia died immediately.
Exactly. He broke her. Yeah.
Yeah.
He got broken.
Yeah. And it's sort of ambiguous if he played a role in that or not. If he wanted that to happen.
Yeah, maybe it was like, you don't belong with Nadia, you belong with Shannon.
Yeah. That's what Jacob thought.
Yeah.
No, Shannon was clearly the one.
Clearly.
I hated.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Jacob was pulling for Shannon the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Just another reason to get annoyed with Jacob. Yeah, some of them, that's a weird thing. I feel like there's a tension there because some of the scenes with Jacob are kind of serving expositional function, like they're showing us some information that we didn't know. So like in Saeed's case, we get to see how Nadia dies.
Yeah.
And in Hurley's case, he picks him up when he gets out of prison.
Yeah.
And he actually introduces himself. That's the only one where he actually
Yeah.
reveals.
Because he's gonna come back later to Hurley, and it'll be better. That he
Exactly.
knows him.
Exactly. And he gives him the guitar case, so we get an explanation for that.
And this is actually that's a very specific case of Jacob using other people to facilitate his plan.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike someone's loophole.
Yeah.
Not unlike someone's loophole.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, he clearly stepped in and made deals and got people to do things, and that was definitely a part of his program. But I was just saying that, like, those two cases, actually, after they had left the island already, you know, they had been there and left.
For sure, okay.
And I don't quite believe that that's the first time that he considered them candidates. Like,
yeah.
it seems to me like they had been candidates before.
Well, when he meets up with Hurley to give him the tar case, does he touch him?
Yeah.
Okay.
He
We
touches
do see
them
the
all
touch.
in their
We do see
scenes.
this. He's a touchy guy.
Yeah, he's really touchy.
It's
It's the only one he doesn't touch is Ilana.
yeah.
You know, when he visits her in the hospital, and obviously he doesn't go in Juliet's flashback at all.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I guess what I'm saying is that, like, I feel like the scenes with him were not consistent, but they serve different functions, and so they didn't want to make them all the same kind of scene.
Yeah. Well, because especially with Hurley, it's he's trying to get them back and all this stuff, and
Yeah.
it's one of the few times Jacob is proactive and he's actually involved in the plot of the island.
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel like he's cheating, right? Like if he's still trying to prove people are good. I guess it's even more. It's not necessarily even about that because he's got the are people good or not game. He's playing with Man in Black, but then he's also needs candidates.
It's kind of a separate thing
to take over the island. So
which is one of the frustrating things for the show for me, like the fact that there are those two things going on at the same time, and that they have some overlap, but not perfectly. It's a little bit messy.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was going to say is that, like, in Lighthouse, it shows the home where Jack lived when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And so even though he visits Jack when he's an adult, I mean, it makes me think that he had been watching him since he was younger. And, of course, he definitely visited the others when he was younger.
Yeah.
So I get the sense that, but the thing is, it's vague, like, how he determined who to pick and how he knew from such an early age that they would turn out to be like that. And I think the story also leaves open the extent to which he makes them that way or determines to a certain extent the fact that they're broken himself.
Yeah.
Rather than like they're broken and therefore that's why he chooses them. Because like in Kate's thing, he pays for the lunchbox and lets her get away with it.
Yeah.
And in Sawyer's case, he gives him the pen so he can write the letter. And you can see it to a certain extent facilitating their problems.
Yeah.
Like making it worse, almost like he's pushing them in that direction, rather than they're just falling towards him. And so I feel like there's something there that you could interpret if you wanted to,
Yeah.
in terms of him being,
Like it, but is he trying to
Not
help them,
passive.
right? Like,
right.
is he trying to help with their kind of problem?
Yeah.
Anybody's guess.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you can't really tell. But I mean, Man in Black has his big speech where he says he'll come to you when you're vulnerable and so on.
Yeah.
And we know he did that with, like, Dogen. Like, there were definitely these instances where, he jumped in at these, like, tough times and offered these deals.
Mhm.
And, we think maybe that happened with the psychic. And so it's like...
That's an interesting kind of recurring idea of a person being vulnerable and needing sort of outside help or seeking outside help, and then somebody showing up, giving that help, and kind of fixing them, but then taking them down a path.
Yeah.
So it's not, I mean, obviously this is like a religious context of saying, like, or even like Dogen, his son is dying, he's he wants some sort of supernatural thing to help.
Yeah.
And then he can be exploited that way.
Right.
Which is an interesting way to look at it. I would have kind of loved if the show at the end, it wouldn't have worked, but I would have loved if the show at the end was like, who's the real Man in Black?
Yeah.
Because Jacob did some stuff that you could say is not great. He's responsible for people's death through negligence or indifference.
There's definitely a contingent of fans who have anti-Jacob leanings, and I think it's fair to be that way to a certain extent. Because, I mean, even in that scene, like, when Dogen tells the story to Saeed, they highlight the fact that Man in Black made a similar offer to Saeed, saying that, in a way, they're kind of similar in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, that's what he said. He said, if you do this for me, I'll bring Nadia back. And it's not really that different from what Jacob did, but it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
I think also there's the question of Jacob and the others. The extent to which he supported what they did, the extent to which he supported Ben. All that's left pretty open, I think. Widmore, too. Like, all the stuff, the Purge. Like, to what extent he was behind any of that. The lists. All that stuff. I mean, I feel like it's very vague exactly who... Because sometimes you had the others, individuals doing things they wanted to do, but then there was also these orders coming in, supposedly, and it's really never worked out in detail, like how much he's responsible for them. But certainly it always bothered me towards the end when they revealed that they're candidates, that he chose to replace him, and also that, in general, he brings people to the island.
Yeah.
He tells Richard that, and Richard's responsibility is supposed to be a liaison between Jacob and the people that he brings to the island, but then, like, Richard ends up being with the others, the hostiles, like the people who are literally attacking people who come to the island. And so...
Well, but in the guise of protecting the island, right? Because Dharma wasn't trying to protect the island. They were exploiting the island. Not unlike Man in Black, exploiting the island's powers to kind of get off. What I was going to say, what's my train of thought? The whole thing with Jacob and the sort of two sides of Jacob trying to prove the point that people are generally good, and then the idea that Jacob needs candidates. It almost, in a perfectly designed kind of execution of this, you might have something like a contest where all these candidates are going to come to a playing field, the island.
Yeah.
And the one who proves the point, who's good, that people are generally good, or who's the goodest, or whatever, is the candidate. So that would be Jack, right? Like this idea that, like, if you we'll have these kind of like a tournament almost,
right?
A tournament of life and death, basically.
Yeah.
But at the end of this, if Ben is the guy who's left, it proves Man in Black's point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end of this, if Jack is left, or he, you know, has the most quote unquote power on the island or influence on the island or whatever, like, then Jacob's point, it should be both things should happen at the same time. They shouldn't be independent of each other.
Yeah.
You know, he should be able to prove people are good and get the candidate that proves that people are good.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like the way they set it up, you could have it go either way.
Yeah.
You know, people could be good, but guess what? All the candidates are dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Or people are really
'Cause the
bad,
bad
but I
people
got my
kill them.
candidate.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. They don't fit together very well, and it's kind of frustrating because the one thing is like a big theme, a big grand question, something closer
Who's
to
good, who's
the
bad.
meaning of life. Yeah,
Yeah,
like what is
exactly.
goodness and badness? What is the essential nature of humans?
Yeah.
Like that's
It's a little
huge...
broad. Just a little bit.
It's but then on the other hand, it's actually just a basic plot
Mhm.
point.
And then the candidates and that whole protecting thing is a very specific, narrower decision to make.
yeah.
That's just logistical almost to a degree.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. There are related questions that are bigger, like what is the island? What does it do? What function does it serve for people? What does it mean that it has the light or whatever they're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also like, you know, there's also the question of like the idea of the island needing to be protected and the way people just decide that for themselves. That's the way the protectors have always done it, seemingly.
Yeah.
And this has just been passed down, you know? And so that fits in with the general theme of the show fairly well.
Yeah.
The fact that they just have to make those decisions in the end. And it makes the whole thing seem less unsatisfying when I think about it that way. Because that really is a very consistent theme running through the entire show that you can see in this episode as well as you can in most episodes of like people interpreting what they see and making a judgment and deciding what to do based on what they think, you know, is correct. And it's just like a lot of shows, a lot of stories will give you more definitive answers where they seem to be objective. And I always wanted characters who spoke as though they had authority to be telling the correct answer.
Yeah.
You know, but it's certainly possible that what they were protecting didn't really matter as much.
To a degree, like, because I was just thinking about mother warning about, you know, people are bad, and the island has this light, and they want the light, and if they get the light, they'll put out the light. And it's not really not unlike what Dharma did. They came, they were seeking the light, you know, they did experiments to find it and manipulate it, and all potentially destroyed it because of that. You know, luckily the Swan got built, but it's like, she was kind of right.
Yeah.
And I do like that idea of people, you know, through greed or ambition or whatever, seeking, you know, this idea of the light. That they'll just find it on the island if they get there because it's so powerful and the pure form of this thing that lives in all of us.
Yeah.
And it's concentrated in this way that, yeah, if they do come to the island, they will just seek this thing out. You know, who wouldn't? You know, it is crazy and interesting.
Right.
And pretty much everyone who gets close to it does try to examine what it's about. So even the version in the Swan Station, whatever is behind those walls, you know, they are curious about it, you know, and if they could dig back there, they would have. Yeah. You know. So it does make sense, this idea that the island needs to be protected because of the power that's there. You know, it's almost like Lord of the Rings, where you don't want the One Ring to be found by anybody, because anyone who gets it will be corrupted by it and unleash evil, you know.
Right.
So you do want to protect it and hide it.
But maybe if you pull the plug and you let the island sink, you know, then that power's gone.
Are you saying, like, not unlike throwing the ring into the Mordor?
Yeah, and maybe that's it. You know, I mean, maybe it's just the fact that it exists that's the problem, and it would be better.
The temptation.
Yeah, because as long as it exists, someone can take it and exploit
Well, but
it.
even putting it at the bottom of the ocean is putting it out of people's reach, right?
Yeah,
Which is kind of what they have with the island, the fact that it does move, the fact that it's hard to get
Yeah.
to. So it is, but it is like, it's that kind of thing of, you know, they put this powerful thing, you know, one step out of most people's reach, but that kind of wasn't good enough. So maybe we need to put
Right.
it another step out of people's reach.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. But it puts in a different perspective for me the fact that they didn't like definitively reveal what the consequences were for the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they had all these people saying these like crazy pronouncements of like everybody's gonna die, the whole world's gonna end. You know, but then in the end, like they don't really tell us one way or the other. They don't show the outside world at all
Mm-hmm.
if it's affected or not.
And sometimes all you need is a detail. Like when we see the end of this episode, we see the two guys in the station, and they get the report about electromagnetism. It would have been a nice detail to say, "Wow, the level of this is unprecedented," or "This is on a level we never thought was possible," which might suggest, if gone unchecked, the world could have been destroyed.
Right.
But when it's just like, "Yeah, we detected it," you can't really make that assumption that it was more special than just what we saw.
Yeah,
You know, or would have been more wide-reaching than just what we saw.
yeah.
You know.
Another thing about it that feels like kind of a cheat to me is like the failsafe, because it makes me think, because, you know, Desmond does it, and it's like it's dangerous. I guess you have to go down there and do it. Maybe no one wants to do it. But it's like if the whole Swan problem can be solved by turning this failsafe thing, it makes the button seem unnecessary. It makes it seem like they just needed one brave person to go down there and turn the key, and then no more problem. No one has to push the button anymore.
Well, but that's not what they wanted, right? They didn't want the button out to be pressed. Dharma in its heyday, right? They were doing experiments. They weren't done yet. Maybe the failsafe is built so when at the end, when they're going to decommission Dharma and they're done with whatever their projects are, okay, then we can turn this, then the world is safe. But for now, we have a way to keep it going. We can keep our experiments going until, you know, plus, you know, you have that. Plus you have whatever the Pearl is about, looking at the Swan. So that's important to keep it going, too. You know. The question is, like, the incident's still crazy to me. It's still vague, because now it's double meaning, and then you have the leak, but then you have the button, which suppresses the leak, or it's kind of like a valve that releases a little bit.
Yeah.
But then, you know, so the pressure doesn't explode. Mm-hmm. But then on top of that, you have the failsafe, which is almost doesn't make any sense. Because it seems like it's a failsafe for the button.
Yeah.
But it does the opposite of what the button does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it just, I mean, yeah, no, I guess you're right. It just makes Dharma seem crazy, which I guess they are. But, like, the idea that this thing was so important, but it makes it seem like it had to have been, to a certain extent, a psychological experiment to make them push the button. Because, you know, there's so many other things they could have done. If it wasn't about pushing the button, you know, if it was just about, like, studying the magnetism and stuff like that, which, like, we saw, I mean, the people in the Swan, they weren't doing science. They weren't doing anything but, like, entering numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it really feels to me like they used a real thing as a psychological experiment. You know, which seems crazy, because if it's that important, if it's that critical, then there should be a backup. It should be safe, you know. But to even use something like that in that way is crazy, which makes me want to say it's real. But then I don't. If it's real, I don't understand why it's like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to piece it together.
It just kind of reminds me of the others and their dressing up. Like, there's these cases where you have this artificial thing but it's like kind of real.
It's kind of true in some circumstances. In other circumstances, it's just supposed to be artificial.
Yeah. And it's like, why is it so complicated? Like, why can't the answer just be like, yes, it's real?
Because it's about interpretation, right?
Exactly.
And if you look at the same thing from different perspectives, you'll have different interpretations. So if you're in the Swan Station and you see it, you think it's real. If you're in the Pearl Station and you see it, you think it's not.
Yeah.
You know, so that's part of the answer.
Exactly.
It still should make sense, but
But I think it's strange they never had a definitive answer on, like, what happened. You know, was it a psychological experiment to some extent or no? And also, like, what really does happen if you don't do the failsafe and you don't push the button?
The question is, how, you know, from when the incident happened to when the button was first pressed, what time frame is that? Because the incident, as we know it, is when Juliet sets off Jughead.
Yeah.
The bomb explodes. Presumably, it implodes or something so that no one around the area necessarily dies because they still, you know,
Yeah.
and have any radioactive fallout too, of course.
Yeah.
Although, did we talk about that being the sickness, radiation? I'm sure we did at some
I
point.
think so. I think it's a good theory, but I actually think another possibility for the sickness is the poison gas.
Yeah, well, that's the big one. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
most likely thing.
Yeah.
Although quarantine should be an infectious thing.
I agree.
But nevertheless, okay, so
They're blurring that distinction. I
Yeah.
mean, they specifically say infected here, but it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. Doesn't really seem like it's an infection.
what was I going to say? So we see, we see the incident is when they blow up the hatch. So if that's when the leak was started, right?
Mhm.
Maybe that's when, okay, this energy was contained and now there's a leak, and if the leak keeps going, the pressure's going to build and going to explode. Then when was the station built? Because you got 108 minutes from when the first leak starts to when you need to stop. You can't build a station in 108 minutes. So then it makes it seem like, okay, well, no. The leak must have started after the station was, like, as they were building the station, they maybe did something wrong. But then you still, okay, well, then when was the computer built? You know, when was that installed? You know, because you still got 108 minutes, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's a very good point. I feel like it doesn't really add up, that whole thing. I feel like it should have been, when they did the incident, I mean, based on what we heard here too, it seems like it's implied that the incident was after they constructed the station.
Yes.
And it should have been. I feel like at least one element of that is that they didn't want to rebuild the hatch set, so they didn't want to show it again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that's at least one reason why when we see the incident, it's not built yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to. You also have the concrete wall that Saeed compares to Chernobyl.
Yeah.
That connects fairly well with the idea of like hydrogen bomb being activated there, and they poured over it with concrete, and that sort of works, you know. But yeah, I totally agree. The leak, the thing that the incident supposedly caused, I mean, they could not have finished the station in under 108 minutes, set up the entire computer system, and got it going. They must have done something in the meantime.
So maybe there's some mysterious thing that they did in the meantime to mitigate the leak until they built the station.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they had like a more crude way of doing it, and then that was the system they installed to do it automatically. I mean,
you know, it's funny. Man in Black, when he's telling Mother about the donkey wheel, he says, you know, it's a system he built to channel the light in the water. And I wonder if that's what the Swan Station does to that site. Is when you enter the code, there's some system of pulleys or something with the water, and it's directing the light somewhere else. Or I wonder if that's kind of the mechanism behind it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they drew clear connections with that because, like, the way they portray when Desmond turns the failsafe here, and the way they portray when they turn the wheel and move the island, like, they're very similar. And so I feel like they definitely want to say that the source of this power, it's the same.
Can I just say we're looking at the Season 2 Disc 6 Blu-ray on the screen right here. And it just shows, you know, I guess it's the island. But the sky's purple. I just want to mention that since Claire says the sky was violet.
Yeah. And it's something I remember they repeat next season, and they talk about when the sky turned purple.
Yeah.
It was something they wanted to portray, clearly, because they keep saying it, but the visual
Why didn't they turn
really
the
work.
purple up on the in editing? I don't know.
It's
why.
really weird. We always see it as white.
Yeah.
The other times, it's the same way.
Mhm.
But I think they continue to say the sky turned purple. It's really strange.
That's a question Carlton and David need to answer.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, we can go to our new,
Mhm.
our original catch-all answer was deleted scene.
Right.
Now it's perspective.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like they saw purple, we saw white. I
Mhm.
don't know. Does that matter?
Yeah.
And why are they making that matter if it does matter?
Yeah, it really shouldn't matter. Please tell me it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's
But I
just
wonder if this choice of a purple screen here has anything to do with the episode.
I would say there's a safe bet. It's strange because it doesn't seem like an iconic Lost shot. It's not clear.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
It seems too specific.
It's not clear that it's the island, actually.
Yeah,
I mean,
not clear.
There's no reason this has to be the island.
Yeah.
It's just like a tree and some brush.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the
some
water,
bushes.
but that does look like
There's
land.
water?
Well, it looks like this might be water.
Oh, if that's water, then I get it. I
But
just
it's
can't
so dark,
tell.
you can't tell.
Yeah. It's so flat.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's so strange. And the clouds rolling. I mean, it's kind of nice and creepy, and
Yeah.
you know, there's a loneliness thing going on.
Yeah, there's no.
But I feel like their typical thing like this, like Screen, has some more iconic thing.
Yeah.
Something that's like quintessentially Lost.
Mm.
It's not like anything happened under that tree,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, that's what the purple sky made me think of.
Yeah, I think that's a good theory, because the sky looks definitely more purple than it usually does.
Yeah, and they never show really shots like this in these load screens.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like tinted some color. Not that I can remember.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Yeah, it's a good catch.
All right. What else for this episode, or Lost in general?
I mean, I would reiterate what I said in the last episode, which is like, I think this episode, it's interesting, and it definitely had some cool developments and stuff, but it's definitely like less mysterious
Mm-hmm.
than some of the previous episodes have been.
Yeah.
Like Question Mark or something like that. Like it's a lot more like down to earth action adventure kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the encounter with the others, the struggle at the hatch was largely just kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lock him out. I'm gonna get dynamite and blow it up. Oh, it didn't work. You know, and then I've got the failsafe because it's all real. You know, and it's kind of practical like progression. And there's no smoke monster.
Yeah.
There's no real like supernatural forces intervening.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just see like, you know, basic, but it's very good, I think. I mean, it's a very well put together episode. We learn a lot of stuff about Desmond.
Yeah.
And
Michael and Walt get away.
yeah,
They're leaving the island, never to be seen again.
we're not going to see them for a while, if ever again, exactly. It felt, I remember being very disappointed by that, because I wanted to see them sooner than we did.
Oh, it took forever.
It was a long ass time. I mean, it was a whole season and a half before they showed up again.
Yeah.
And it just the ending was just vague. It was like the others gave up Walt. Ben says he wasn't happy with the plan, but then later they tell us it was his plan.
Mm-hmm. I assume he's lying about that, you know, that he's making Michael feel like he's getting... I don't know, it feels like he's lying about, like, I'm not happy with this.
Obviously it's not. I wouldn't put it past Ben to lie.
Mm-hmm. He's done it once or twice.
But, and it makes sense, it's fine. But it just leaves open the question of, like, why they wanted Walt, how much they wanted him. I mean, it just felt, especially at the time, it felt weird.
Well, it feels weird to give him up after wanting him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, going to all the trouble to get him. I mean, ostensibly...
Well, we know why they gave him up, though.
I know.
Yeah.
It's true.
Although, you know, Walt could have stayed on the show in some weird way where they write it where the others keep Walt, and he's just not in the scenes, you know,
Yeah.
he's off screen.
Yeah. And then, the way they have the time passage on the show, at some point they could bring him out again once it's sort of caught up to where it looks normal. Yeah. No, you're right. There's a practical consideration there that like can't be ignored, I think. And anytime the narrative has problems and the explanation is that, like, it's harder to just criticize the writing. But it still bothers me because it seemed like he was so important.
Yeah.
The way they played it
I
out.
imagine a version of Lost that's really interesting because of Walt's powers and his importance to the others.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They even said it, like, having him kidnapped was like a reaction to the realization that he was getting old because it was going to keep him off screen. But I feel like it generated even more interest in him. And it would have been better to, like, do something else to get him off screen. Something that didn't make him
and
even
season
more
one didn't
intriguing.
help with him and Locke and
Yes.
all that, you know, his craziness.
Premonitions, don't open it.
Mhm.
And then even in season...
Don't open it, Mr. Locke!
And then even season 2, they continue it with, like, Shannon seeing the crazy backwards talking Walt, and he's there when she gets killed by Ana Lucia. It's like, and then, you know, they bring him back at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
And every time it makes him seem interesting and crazy and, like, tied into big mysteries. You know, but he wasn't at all.
Yeah.
You know, he's a very ancillary character in the grand scheme of things. Like, he plays almost no role in the bigger plot.
Yeah.
But they really built him up a lot, you know. But again, it's just an example of that, them leading us down this road and then, like, shrugging their shoulders and saying, like, why did you expect more than that?
Mm-hmm.
That's on you.
It's on you, why? Alright, I'm trying to think of, something else I was going to say about Walt. Oh, the idea that, you know, he never even, again, like we were just saying, but, you know, he never really even claims his powers,
Yeah.
you know. Because if he really was remote viewing and doing all this stuff, and it's kind of like, you should know you were doing that.
He doesn't acknowledge it at all.
You know, or he's like, I've been wondering about the I've been trying to remote view myself back to the island, you know, like...
Right. He says he has a dream.
He did say he had a dream about... I really wish there was, you know, his dream actually, like, meant something to the show. Like, it was like a warning to Locke or something.
Yeah.
Or like, it was a like,
It would have been
helped
nice.
him. Yeah.
It would have been nice if they tied it in better.
Yeah.
Because it just, in retrospect, it just feels awkward. Because it's like, he saw the man in black pretending to be Locke.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Like, it'd be different if he said, you know, I saw you standing on a beach, but it didn't seem like you.
Yeah.
You know, just
Yeah.
a little something.
That would be nice.
Just a little
That would
something.
work way better.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it just feels like manipulation. It feels like, I mean, it's kind of okay because, again, it's down to his interpretation, but, like, it is frustrating because they really, and it just goes back to the way the show, like, fucks Locke over.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, they really built up this idea of Locke, you know, he goes off the island and he totally fails to convince anyone to come back, and he dies just completely desperate and hopeless.
Yeah.
And the idea that, like, finally, you know,
He's
after
reborn.
his death, Jack is convinced, and he does, like, it does motivate him to get everyone together, and finally Locke's dream is realized.
Yeah.
And his body is transported back, and he comes back to life.
Mhm.
And now he's got a mission.
Like, he's resurrected.
You know?
Now he's got a mission. He's completely convinced in the path he's supposed to be on.
Yeah.
He was right all along.
Yeah.
All of this stuff. Oh, guess what? It's not him.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, the characters that we've seen, like, telling him to do stuff this whole time, that's who it is.
Yeah.
He's been using him the whole time, and this was his plan all along. You know, and it's like, and Walt's thing points in the other direction. It feels like it's a premonition about Locke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's telling him, you know, it's like Walt's like seeing the future or something. And like it sort of works on that level, but yeah, it would have been nicer if there was actually some foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
I would have liked that a lot better, cuz it's just weak and vague. Just like this scene with Ben where it's just like people don't really say enough for me to like understand where they're coming from, or for the point of what they're saying to like have weight.
Yeah.
You know? It's just kind of blah.
I wonder by the time we get back to Locke's death if we'll understand the point of them writing his final thought being "I don't understand."
Yeah.
Because I do feel like that goes back to the thing we've been talking about of perspective and placing meaning. Because I was thinking, like, what if his final thought was, "Oh, I get it now."
Yeah.
What would that, how would that change things?
Yeah.
You know, even if it was the idea that he understood he needed to die for some reason, and him saying he understands it now, but them writing the opposite, like I don't understand.
I wish
to mean
someone,
something
like,
about his character and his journey, and not just how lame he is. Right? They've got to be doing that for a theme reason, not just to show that he's a sad character and pity him or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like maybe he would have understood if something else, if he would have been convinced. Maybe understanding is something you give yourself.
Right.
Maybe, the only understanding you have is what you convince yourself you have or something.
Right. Right. I mean, the Man in Black says that to, like, kind of compliment Locke in a way. I mean, that's the point he goes to after that. So, it's okay. But the thing is, like, I feel like, especially because that ends up being the point, I don't think he's lying about that. I mean, I think we're supposed to take that as real.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that really was his final thought, Locke's officially, And because he has all these memories.
Yeah. And
he knows who murdered him and stuff like that. It's clear, like, he wasn't there, so he must have, like, digested these memories somehow, But it would have been nice if there was some way for another character to, like, contradict it, or for someone to come back and say, no, that's not what he said. At the end, he realized, or he understood.
Like Miles.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Miles could have done that because his body was on the island.
It would have been really cool if they could have had a comeback to that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there was a little bit of that at the end when, like, Jack gives it to him, like, you wear his face, but you're nothing like him. Mm-hmm. There was some, like, pushback on his constant kind of insulting of Locke.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have been more satisfying, especially because it's Locke's final moment, to not let it just rest as being just sad and pathetic and with no real meaning. Like, he wanted his life to have meaning so desperately, and he ended with just nothing.
Yeah.
Just thinking that, like, his whole life had been a waste, and he was right all along, like, in the fact that that he wasn't important, and, like, ever thinking that he was more than that was just delusional, and, like, he was totally justified in that.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, the fact that Ben had tried to murder him already, previously, I mean, I feel like he shouldn't have been that shocked that Ben tried to kill him.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, he's not shocked that Ben tried to kill him, he just didn't understand why he's trying to kill him now.
Yeah, I guess that's...
Like, what did I do to make you kill me in this moment, and why do I need to die now, is sort of how I interpret those words.
Yeah.
Especially considering he was just about to kill himself.
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand that he just said a bit of, information that Ben wants now. But I guess Ben didn't have to kill him.
I don't know.
Because Ben doesn't
It's a hard
know,
question to answer.
Ben doesn't know he needs, like, they need the body to come back, right?
That's a good question. I really don't know what he knows at that point. Because they don't really show us. Like, we see Ben collaborating with Miss Hawking, but, like, we don't know how long that was going on. So, I mean, she's the one who had the thing about the body, so he may or may not have already known about it. But he also says that he thought Locke being dead was essential to motivating Jack. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being kind of true.
Yeah.
And, he knew that's what it took to get them back. But Locke had information that he wanted. Mm-hmm. So that's basically everything he says to explain, like, what he was doing.
Yeah.
With Locke. And it kind of makes sense, I think. Because, if Locke doesn't die, then a lot of those plot lines are weird. But it does depend on us making assumptions about, like, what Ben knew, when, and why. But I do think there's a point in that story that's kind of as in many places in Lost, like, kind of a missing piece, which is that Christian tells Locke about Miss Hawking. Like, that's actually the origin of that. He says, go see
Yeah.
Elise Hawking. And
Which is Man in Black's telling him to do that.
yes, and he's the one, and he tells Widmore about it.
Why does Man in Black know what Hawking is doing off the island? Like, I understand he might have known her when she was there on the island as another. But yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, theoretically, I can think of ways that he could know. He could have, like, scanned an other who knew, you know, or something. But
okay.
it's definitely off-screen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely all sort of hidden away.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we don't know who that is talking at the time.
Mhm.
So, for all we know, he's sort of an omniscient character, you know? So, but it is interesting that whole idea comes from him.
Mhm.
He's the one that tells Locke, and Locke tells Widmore and Ben, and that's where she gets involved in the story, and it kind of leaves open this idea of, like, her being involved.
Mhm.
Like, to what extent, and she's the one who's really insistent on Locke's body has to go back, and he's got to wear, like, Christian shoes and stuff, all this stuff that ties it in
Yeah.
with the Man in Black's plan. And she plays such an essential role in that. But there's never, like, step 2, where they reveal that Man in Black had been manipulating her somehow and convinced her that she needed to do these things.
Mhm.
You know, or what communication she had with Jacob.
It's just weird. I mean, that whole idea that she was convinced they needed to go back to the island. Why?
That's what I'm saying is, like, the missing part. Like,
Yeah.
they never really tell us why she was invested in that.
Yeah.
And they left open, like, possibilities.
And
But
it's weird because she's supposed to be... She was another. She's supposed to be protecting the island. But then she leaves.
yeah.
And never to really look back until later when she starts to work for them again.
And she looks back again, yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird. And then it's all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't need to go back to the island.
Mm-hmm.
But some other people do.
Yeah.
Why? You know?
It's strange. It's strange. It worked at the time when we didn't really know what was going on with her. But yeah, I think in retrospect, it doesn't really add up. Her story is strange. It doesn't feel totally thought through
Yeah.
in terms of the different roles she plays as
Especially with Desmond.
as the leader of the others, as Faraday's mother, as, you know, being in
Integral to
a relationship with
Desmond's plot.
Widmore, as the
Yeah.
time-traveling police, as the woman in the, you know, controlling the lamppost
I'm
station.
telling Constable, please.
She just plays, like, way too many roles, I think.
Yeah.
And they just do not fit together. It feels like there's different characters played by the same actress.
Yeah.
And with the same name.
Perspective.
Exactly. Yeah, and then, like, Desmond sees her, and he's like, you! But it's not even a big thing. Like, they're just like, that was me. Whatever. You know, like, there's no big, like, question of, like, who are you? What are you doing? Like, what's your stake in all this?
Yeah.
Like,
It seems to be implied that she has a stake, and that's all you need.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's strange. Whereas, like, Widmore was given at least a clearer sort of explanation of his level of information and stakes. They tell us Jacob came to him and told him to do stuff.
Yeah.
Period. And before that, he was trying to get back to the island because he was kicked off by Ben. And it all works, you know, but, like, Miss Hawking doesn't get that kind of story.
Yeah.
You know, she's just kind of left hanging in terms of what her stake is for the island after she leaves, how she ends up, like, staying in contact with the others and then running the lampposts later. Obviously, she did that much later. I mean,
Yeah.
Dharma must have been, like, manning that station at some point,
Yeah.
you know.
Interesting.
We'll never know, obviously. But this is the beginning of all that.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember, like, reading about that Widmore scene and just being, like, blown away by the idea we're going to see Widmore, and I thought he was going to be, like, this huge important character, which I guess he is.
Listen, a war is coming.
Oh my god.
The war that never happened.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's about it. It was a cool episode. Good finale. Definitely makes me excited for next season. I'm sure it won't let us down at all.
No, I mean, the next season's got to be as good as this or better. So, yeah, I can't wait for season 3.
Absolutely.
We'll have to wait a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been fun getting through season 1 and season 2 now.
Yeah.
That only took like 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess the way I see it, season 1 and 2 are kind of a unit. Season 3 is a transitional phase.
Yeah.
And then 4 through 6 are kind of a unit.
Yeah. It's almost like a roller coaster, you know? Where you're like, the first 2 seasons are, it's like the going up the hill.
Yeah.
And then season 3 is where, right before you go down, you know,
Yeah.
you're at the top of the peak.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and then the end of the beginning of season 4 is like, the roller coaster just starts
Yeah.
the ride. you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you just hold on until the end.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We have to go back.
Literally,
And
till
then-
the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Indeed. That was the title.
That was the title. All right. Well, until next time, thanks and namaste.
Namaste and good luck.